What is going on, people? Welcome back, alive and kicking, to episode number 76 of the Hook It podcast. Before we drop in on this episode, I want to fill you guys in with some news and also let you know about our incredible show sponsors. First of all, Sax Underwear. If you don't know about Sax, well, I'm disappointed in you. Where the hell have you been? And you must be hellishly uncomfortable right now if you're not already wearing Sax underwear. Sax make the best underwear on planet Earth. They also manufacture my only pair of Lucky pants, which is actually a pair of their Quest boxer briefs, which feature the patented antifreeze ballpark pouch. They have quick drying micro mesh. They are anti-odor, and they also feature a fly. So if you're one of those guys who likes to come through the gate rather than jump over the wall, they've got a fly and have got you guys covered, which is rad. If you live outside the UK, head to saxunderwear.com to find your local retailer. And if you're within the UK, you can head to your local bike or outdoor store, or you can now head to hookitproducts.co.uk, where you will find a range of Sax available to buy right now. We are also brought to you by hookitproducts.co.uk, and for this episode only, we have an exclusive offer for you. We are going to do 20% off all mountain style frame protection kits and also accessories, which consists of crank guards, enduro straps, mud guards, and also their line of frame protection. To claim this offer, it's going to last for 7 days from when this episode goes live. So from Thursday morning, which will be the 9th, through 7 days from then on. All you have to do to claim this offer is enter the promo code AMS podcast at checkout. That's A for all, M for mother, S for sax podcast. Enter that at checkout and you will get 20% off all mountain style products. Also, if you don't want to buy anything, that's no problem at all. Just check the website out. It's full of the back catalogue of this podcast. It's also got blog posts and a bunch of other products too, which you might be interested in. So please head to hookitproducts.co.uk. It's the reason that this podcast exists. So please help support that, help support the podcast. It all goes round in a circle. Okay, I've got a bunch of news for you guys too. First of all, massive thank you to every single person who listened to the last episode. It means so much, you won't even understand. My friends, especially me, we were a little bit nervous before putting that out. It was quite an emotional story. It was a bit of a different concept for an episode, just sat around chatting with your friends. No mountain bike talk or action sports talk at all, but the takeaways I feel from it were real. People reached out in the droves, like so many messages from people who that episode hit home with. If it's about even just going for a local bike ride, just make sure you guys are prepared. Make sure you've got adequate equipment. Make sure people know where you're going. And also, without going too deep on the introduction, you never know when it could be a last. So make sure you're living life to the full out there, people, for sure. We're going to be raising some money as well for the RNLI, who literally saved our lives. We're going to do that by running a marathon. Now, my friends and I, we are not runners, but there is a marathon at Loch Ness, so it only seems fitting to head up to Loch Ness in October and raise some money for the lifeboat and also the Coast Guard. So please, we're going to keep you updated with that on social media, etc. when the time comes, but if anyone wants to do it, reach out, join in, fundraise with us. We're going to run the marathon. It's beginning of October at Loch Ness. These guys literally did save our lives. So the least we can do is throw some running shoes on and run 26 miles, right? Easy. In other news, in other charity news, I guess, I was really, really, really stoked to head down into Sheffield last week and donate the bikes from Project Change, and also take a look at the bike which you guys helped buy. And it was so cool that they were so grateful that this happened. The charity is kind of struggling a little bit. So the donation we made of a couple of £1,000 and also donated some bikes meant a lot to them. The bike we donated is super cool. I'm going to put some photos up on social media and put them in the mail shot as well so you guys can take a look. It was an electric hand trike, and there's going to be a lot of use from that. I can feel it. People who can't ride regular bikes are going to use it. It's got a back pedal, so it's really easy to maneuver for people that have got disabilities. So yeah, so much cool stuff coming out of the podcast right now. I can't even begin to tell you. There's a lot going on. Every episode, before we drop in, we also give away a pair of Sax underwear. All you have to do to win a pair of Sax underwear is share this episode with your friends, or if possible, leave a review over on iTunes. And for this episode, I am going to choose Chris Y. Trider, who left a review on the 1st of May. So if that's you, Chris, slide into the DMs. No, nothing weird. No crazy pictures. Just slide into the DMs and let me know, and we will reach out and yeah, send you some Sax underwear. Simple as that, guys. If you do enjoy listening to this episode, do the same. Just leave a review, and you'll automatically be entered to win a pair of Sax. Right, I've waffled on enough, but sometimes I'm overwhelmed and I need to sit and riff. But yeah, okay. On this episode of the podcast, I have got Jase Macalpine. Jase is the host of the Gypsy Tales podcast. It's one of my favorite podcasts of all time. Jase is a hero, and it's just good just to sit and chat with Jase whenever we can. So welcome to the podcast. After Odub and Zeb, Jase Macalpine. Enjoy.
Welcome to the Hook It podcast, endorsed by @Odub_23. Add me, tag me. Follow me. Please follow me.
In the dirty, dirty south, you better wash your mouth out. We're gonna go for broke in the dirty, dirty south, a dirty south. In the dirty, dirty south. Oh, you won't toast here. Oh, you think we could care? Oh, no, we don't play fair. Oh, in the dirty, dirty south. Cold as sister, cold as me, speed. I go back help me. We keep turning out. Oh, we do to turn it out. In the dirty, dirty south, you better wash your mouth out. We're gonna go for broke in the dirty, dirty south, dirty south. In the dirty, dirty south. Oh, you better listen. Yeah, I listen to what we got to say. Open your eyes and you hear. Oh, don't stay in the dirty, dirty south. You better wash your mouth out. We're gonna go.
Yeah, you should see that like come up on your recording pretty clear.
Yeah, I can see it. I can see it.
Sweet dog.
All right, should we just get straight in?
Yeah.
We don't need to do any introductions, do we? Like, we know each other, which is nice.
Yeah, that's it.
Usually when you start recording these with someone new, it's like, right, okay, I'm not a creep. You know, I'm not sat here jerking off. Like, nothing weird's going on.
Let me see your hands.
Yeah, I'm like that the whole time.
That's funny. Nah, yeah, we're good. We're good.
Oh, man. Thanks for doing this, dude, again. Appreciate it. Finally.
No, I've been keen. Yeah, we've been wanting to do it for a little bit. But I've been, been keen to come back on. First time, like, it's crazy because the first time I come on it, it's like everything had, like, sort of just started. It was probably came on your show, like, a year ago, I reckon.
Yeah, I reckon it was around then. I was going to look, actually, before, but it must be around a year ago now.
Yeah, it'd have to be.
Yeah. Props to whoever it was. I had, like, a lot has changed. Yeah, I had a listener reach out and was like, you will love this podcast. And I listened to, I can't remember which one it was. And I was like, dude, I'm getting in touch. You're coming on this thing. I want to talk to you. This is rad.
Yeah, that's sick. Yeah, I can't remember which one it was either.
Oh, man. I probably jumped straight to, like, Travis and just geeked out over that one, I think.
I reckon it was even before that.
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't know. But man. Yeah, it was early on, that's for sure. I didn't even know what the fuck was going on at that point, to be honest.
I still don't know what the fuck's going on, mate. If you have any idea, let me know, because I'm still tripping. I don't know what this thing's all about.
It's funny because you're one of the only people I know that like has a podcast as well. So it's actually like the last 12 months, like people obviously wouldn't know, but we've actually messaged each other back and forth quite a lot, just like about a ton of different stuff podcast related. So since that first time I come on, you've kind of become like a bit of a pillar of knowledge and like
I don't know about that.
like a soundboard for me, you know.
Dude, that's nice. I appreciate you saying that actually, because it's cool to sort of have some small part in each other's podcasts, I think. And, you know, people working together should happen more often in this space. I think especially with certain podcasts, there's a bit of like animosity there. It's like, oh, I've had this guest and you've had that shit guest. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? You kind of just want to be supportive of each other.
Yeah, well, I think it'd be a little bit different for you because you're quite industry specific.
Yeah, maybe.
So, like, you've got... And the mountain bike space is... I think the mountain bike space has always been, like, super competitive when it comes to, like, filmmaking, photos, websites, forums. It seems like it's quite a tribal sport, I think. And then in the industry itself, like, you see it in moto as well, but I don't think it's as predominant as, like, some of the mountain bike guys, maybe.
No, I agree.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, the whole podcast thing, like, for me... There's actually a couple dudes in Australia that have started doing a podcast every single day.
Jeez.
And I got turned on to those guys, and I reached out to them. I was like, fuck man, like kudos to you guys for doing this shit every day, because that's I got no interest in that.
Long episodes or just like short snappy stuff?
No, like hour episodes. Sometimes I have like guests and stuff as well. Yeah, the thing is called like the Daily Talk Show or something.
Jeez.
But yeah, like as soon as I heard of those guys, a guy that's coming on the show, he's like, oh, like I went on these dudes, and I just sent him a message straight away because I mean they've only got like a few hundred followers on their page and stuff like that. So I was just like sent him a message, and I think they're going to do quite well out of it, to be honest. But yeah, I just said like, hey, like let me know if you need anything or if you got any questions. And it's not out of like, oh, look at, that's cute. Look at you guys, like just starting your podcast kind of thing. Like it's just like, yeah, a support thing, because there's not a lot out there. There's not a lot out there. And I've been doing it for over a year now. So it's like you do learn a lot in that time, and that's sort of in the same way that I like leaned on you quite a bit at the start for different things, and you were like one of the main reasons I actually got everything on Spotify. So it's like sort of do need you do need those people around you, and I think it's just the same in anything. Like you need a good little support network, and I've got great friends and family, but none of them know shit about doing a podcast.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I agree though with you totally. I love, man, I get quite a lot of messages from people that are like, oh, I'm setting up a podcast. Can you give me this advice? What do I need? To be honest, sometimes I'm like, I have no fucking idea. Like I've winged this whole thing, obviously. And, it's not huge by a long shot, Arguably, it does all right in the space it's in. But, yeah, I don't want to be this... I don't mind it, but I kind of never anticipated being this like oracle where people would reach out and be like, right, how do I get on this platform? I'm like, fuck, dude, I don't know. I just YouTubed it and then followed some steps, and here we are. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's all relative. Like to the dude that has 0 podcasts and 0 followers, you're a fucking messiah. But to but to someone that's got a way bigger podcast, it's like, oh yeah, it's cool, he's doing his thing. But I think too, it's sort of it's in a... The crazy thing is, man, is like this is just all full circle for me. Like I'm in this position again because when I started filming was 2007, and like YouTube wasn't a thing. Like Vimeo was like the cool thing to put your fucking videos on. So that's like how long ago. Like you would have remembered a time where like every sick edit was on Vimeo.
Yeah,
and it's like. So, like, that's the time that I grew up in, and with, started filming, and I remember going to, like, all these brands and stuff and being like, all right, Facebook's going to be the new big thing, and YouTube and Vimeo, and you've got to pay me to make these videos, and then it's going to go online, and, like, print advertising is dead, blah, blah, blah. So it's like I was pedaling that bicycle for years. Yeah, and then now I'm, like, pedaling this podcast thing again. So it's just, like, I feel like I've, like... I feel like this is version 2.0 of me trying to like convince advertisers and brands and people that.
Yeah.
But it seems like this is a lot easier because it's like people are really already into podcasts anyway, and it just, I don't know, it just seems like it's got its own momentum that it was just like so much harder to convince people early on. I think that video was going to do what it did, and then I think because of the way that, because like, you know, back like 2005, 2006, it was magazines. That's it.
Yep.
Like you had to have a double page spread on the inside of the cover. That was like the most coveted piece of advertising that you could do, and that's that. And then the forum thing started happening, and I think forums is probably what led the, like, I think you had like forums first, and then content started sort of piggybacking off the forums, and then from there it's like, oh, this content's actually like dope. So then people started putting more into like the content side of things. But yeah, I think with the whole podcast thing, it feels like an easier sell because it's become very obvious how powerful it is.
Definitely.
Like, it's pretty hard to deny. I think and it is like a part of new media, and I think that whole new media wave, like when it come in like 2004, 2005 and sort of onwards, it was like that was a huge change from print. And the podcast thing hasn't been that big of a shift from, you know, new media in a way.
I'm always like tripped out by how long some of these podcasts have been going as well. Not necessarily in our space, in action sports and whatever, but like the older stuff, like Rogan and stuff like that, you know, they've been around for years, man. Like, you know, someone like, I know Joe's pumping out 3 episodes a week usually, but it's on like, what is it, 1,300 episodes or something?
That blows my mind, dude. Like, I remember when he started the MMA show, and I think he's done more MMA shows than I've just done shows in general.
100%.
It's fucking nuts.
It's nuts how much content he's kicking out. And from what I understand, though, podcasts sort of came, it blew up, then it died for a bit, and then it came back again. I'm not too sure. Like, I don't really understand the history of it or the timeline, but that's...
Dude, did I tell you the last time that I was on that I did my first podcast in like 2008?
Did you?
Yeah.
No, you didn't. No, you never said that.
Dude, I completely forgot about it. So
really?
Then, yeah. Like, if you Google, like, so my old website that I started and I like put my videos on was called MX Daily, and I did the MX Daily podcast. I did like 4 episodes, and I fucking completely forgot until I was doing until I started like trying to set up my iTunes and stuff for this. So then I was like Googling it to see where it was coming up in Google and what was coming up, and then it was like MX Daily, the MX Daily podcast, and it was like Yariv Konsky, Luke George, like all these Aussie moto dudes, and I was like, no shit, I completely forgot.
No way. I remember one of the first ones I ever listened to was Brotocross, because he started doing them just for a minute, right?
Yeah.
And they were amazing. It was just him just riffing. It was kind of, and then they just went. And I can't remember. He didn't even have them on iTunes. They were just on SoundCloud, I think.
Dude,
that was one of the first ones I ever listened to, was that.
Dude, he's actually like one of my really good friends, eh?
Really? It's Eli, right? Yeah, I met him
Eli
one
Moore.
time. I met him.
Oh, really?
I went over. I went to the States for a little while. After my old business, after I got out of my old business, just to sort my head out, ended up on a night out in Old Town. Where's that now? Riverside.
Yeah, Marietta.
Marietta.
Temecula.
Old Town.
Yeah, Old Town.
Yeah, Old Town down there.
That used to be my stomping grounds, bro.
Did it?
Yeah.
Got chatting to some chick. You'll probably know her actually. I'll not call her out on here just in case. You never know.
Yeah,
went home with
enough.
some chick back to her house, and that's where Eli lived.
Wonder where that would have been.
So he lived with Sean Miller as well. You know Sean Miller? I'm sure it was Sean.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where Eli
I'm trying to
lived.
remember what house that would have been. It might have been when he first moved from Boston over to there.
This is probably 4.5 years ago now.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I know.
He's at Red Bull now. He's one of the main dudes behind Motospy.
Is he really? Ah, man. Okay. That was rad
Yeah.
to see your stuff on there, by the way. That's really, really, really cool. I know you've got a good
Yeah, it was
history
cool,
with Red
eh?
Bull, but still, like, sick.
It's honestly weird, man. Like, because that crew, like, that's the crew I worked with over there. And then it's like I still am very, very close with Wes and all of those guys. And it's like it felt so awkward sending files to them and being like, oh, here it is. And then like they were sending me all of these fucking Snapchats and stuff, like just ripping on me, just completely ripping on every single thing I said. And that was like all the just little like snippets of stuff was like, what's it? There was like one thing I said about Cooper or Marvin, and then they just said they had it on repeat all weekend. And so they just kept Snapchatting me, but it was honestly weird because like I know how much work goes into those series, and I know how fucking tired those boys are because of just how much work like to film those episodes, and then to like they're basically what we used to do, right? So when we went to Alden's or like Claremont or whatever, basically we rent an Airbnb house. So we don't do like the hotel rooms. So you'd rent a house. So every week we were in like this new house filming these new guys, and every week it was like the same thing. You'd do a Costco run, you'd go to Home Depot and you'd get like, reflector boards and all that kind of stuff. And we'd set up these like mini lives for like 1 or 2 weeks in these Airbnbs, and then we'd like be constantly eating off plastic plates with plastic forks. Like it was just never a normal life, and it was just constant, man. Like every single day would be filming, and then you'd come home and you'd be logging footage, and then you'd be editing, and you're filming episode 5 but you're editing episode 4, and then you're proofing episode 3 to release. So it's like the schedule that those guys have to keep is like insane. And what felt like super weird is when I was like in that video, and then I started getting all of these messages and people commenting and stuff like that, and it felt super weird for me to be getting credit for something that I have like zero involvement in, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So because people are like, oh, it's so cool, and I'm like, fuck, man, like these guys bust their
These are hustling,
like they don't even thank me. Like I did nothing. I put 1 hour into this, and they've put like hundreds of hours into every episode. And so it was just, I don't know, it was like weird to put so little effort into something when I know like how much effort those guys put in. But it was really cool to see, and like the feedback was pretty cool. And I think I had like a bit of a change of, not a change of headspace, but like when I did that first like sort of Supercross breakdown video or whatever, I was kind of inspired by like the MMA guys like Brennan Schaub and Chael Sonnen and those dudes, and because I feel like and it's not to talk shit on anyone else, but it's like I think that some of the guys that are in that space, and this is excluding Jason Wygant, the guy's like my favorite dude ever. But some of the other guys, and the DMXS guys are fucking awesome guys as well. But it's like some of the guys want to talk about the sport as like they're sort of up a little bit, and they're like looking down on the sport, but not in a negative way. But it's like they're on the outside in looking down as like they have like this oracle sort of style thing, and they're like they're looking down, and then they're looking down on this field, and then they're making their judgment on that. And then I was like, you know what? Like I'm a fucking fan of this sport, and I love these guys, and I wanted to sort of come of like looking down up, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I understand.
And I really wanted to like look up at these guys and be wowed by everything they did, and be I don't know, just have like a bit of a different angle than it just wasn't like this looking down, this is the sum of its parts, and then making an analysis on it from that angle. I almost just wanted to like look up in reverence in a way, and sort of like bring a bit of, I don't know, just like full froth to it.
Why do you think it is? Why do you think that it comes across like they're doing that? Is it just because it's like quite a cliquey sport? Do you know what I mean? Like a bit of a clique, like you're either in it or you're not, and they're always going to be a bit derogatory if you're not in it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it's like you have to like put your so like you go out on a limb because like the way that I'm talking about it is so, and I mean I do get comments like fucking crazy comments of like this dude wants to be in America and this dude hates it. Like
Dude,
you
I get
put
the
yourself
same,
out
don't worry.
there.
Yeah.
But like you put yourself out there so much by like speaking as like such a passionate fan, and I think that maybe some of those guys have tried to like be as almost like as neutral as possible in a way, to where it's like it's not as that style's not as easily criticized. Whereas like the style that I've chose to do, like you could just pull it apart. Because it's it's like I'm making no apologies for like being a Ken Roxon super fan. Like, the other guys, I feel like they're just trying to stay way more neutral and way more like there's just not as much room to like sort of criticize it. So I mean, I don't know. And then there's definitely like an element of it. It's like there's some of those guys have a chip on their shoulder about like the industry, or they were ex-riders, or they were ex-whatever. So it's like there's sort of a... I mean, I don't know this for sure, but it's like it sort of sometimes seems like they're speaking as like well, look where I'm at now. It's like it turns out I didn't really need this sport in a way. But then it's like, well, you're still talking about it. So it's like you kind of still do need... So I don't know.
Ricky's been slated a couple of times for saying things on the live broadcast, hasn't he? About Eli, saying, blew it again, or whatever he said. I can't quite remember what he said, but again, though, if anyone can be a little criticizing of someone, it's probably Ricky. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like a different thing, isn't he? He's got his own vibe going on. He can say whatever. He was the GOAT. He is the GOAT. So he can sort of say whatever he wants.
I agree with that for sure. But I think it was... Sorry. It was just, I don't know, like it was... I just wanted to... Like you see what the MMA guys do, and you see how like healthy their industry is, and it's because you have... like I'm a fan of how Brendan Schaub talks, the way that it's like this excitement, and it's like he sort of says some dumb shit sometimes, but it's like cool and it gets you excited. And it's like, that's sort of... like I wanted to be like, you know what? I just want to get people excited. I want to like create drama in this sport, or I want to like play devil's advocate, or I want to like explore a headspace that it just gets people excited. Like, fuck, I didn't think of it like that. Like, I had to do... Perfect example was a guy DM me and said, man, I'm fucking off Cooper because he went over the finish line and like pointed the guns at Ken. And I was like, dude, you know how hard I ride Ken's dick? That was my favorite moment of this whole season. That was fucking awesome. Like 100%. We need that shit. Like
more.
That was so rad to do that, because then it's like, then you can go back and you can talk about it, and you can like super fan out on it. You can be like, fuck, imagine what Ken's thinking, blah, 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 blah. Like you can really, it's like can be this dramatic thing. And then, so I sort of, said my side of that story to him, and he was like, oh, I didn't think of it like that. So it's like, that's what I want to do. It's like, let's just play these situations out to be like this dramatic, over the top thing. Yeah, like exactly. Like what do we want? Like let's dramatize this shit, because it's like it could be wrong, it could be right, and again, like that's a style where people then it just invites people who just don't see that point of view or think it's ridiculous. And then they're like you're an idiot. Blah, blah, blah.
But that's what it needs. I agree with you totally. That's what gets you hyped through the week. Like that's what armchair racing is all about. And if it was all PC, it'd suck shit. If it was all just... You remember the old like podium interviews, man, were like the most boring thing. And I feel like now certain riders have definitely been a bit more of the personality. Faulkner was great for it, man. All year, he'd just say exactly what was going on. I'm struggling with this. This is good. Whereas before, it was just like, oh, thank my sponsors. Thank God. See you later. Drink a sip of Monster. Fuck off. Whereas now,
Did you see Cooper's press conference?
No, I haven't.
After the thing. So anyway, they said, they're like, oh, did it change your headspace at all when you saw AC lose the title? Like, did it change how you wanted to race? And dude, most gangster fucking shit of the season. He goes, "Hey man, he cracked, I didn't." Boom.
Really?
Like, mic drop. That's all he said.
Wow.
And he's like, next question. I was like, holy fuck, Cooper, you're a beast.
Yeah, that's what it needs. That's what,
Dude,
what every sport needs.
totally
And that's why we
agree.
tune into, MMA is prime example, I guess. Connor came in and just upset the apple cart, right? Just cause drama, get people hyped. And the cool thing is with the motocross and the supercross season is it is pretty much every weekend. It's not like it's going to go quiet for 6 months like football or whatever. It just keeps going.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is kind of cool, but it's kind of shitty, I get, if you're a rider, because there's not much downtime anymore.
Nah, there's no downtime at all.
Yeah, I have no idea how those guys are doing that. When you look at like you said, like the traveling schedule, and it's not like they're just rocking up and racing dirt bikes on a Saturday. They're there from Thursday, press, just all that stuff. And then you look at, I guess what the podcast is kind of most famous for is mountain biking. There's 8 rounds, I think, all year. And I'm not saying they're any less of an athlete at all. It's a totally different thing. But motocross and supercross, I mean, those guys are out every weekend, like every day. You always hear that they're back on the test track on a Monday. Like, what the fuck? That must be arguably the most demanding sport in the world.
Yeah, dude, even like when I was doing it just as like a film dude, like I was fucking cooked, bro. Like it was really hard to do. And like, I feel sorry for the mechanics. The mechanics have it way worse than the riders. But to talk about the mountain bike thing, look at how healthy the mountain bike industry is as a whole. Like, because you've got 8 rounds and then you've got the world champs. And then what you do is you let guys go to like Crankworks and there's like a 4-stop thing there. And then you get some guys that cross over and do some EWS rounds. And there's all these like different avenues for these guys to do cool shit that gets fans excited, and they're not just stuck in this fucking monotonous grind that these moto and supercross guys do. And then you got like guys can go off and do a film project for a couple of weeks, or then you've got guys that will go do photo shoots. You've got guys that have time to do their own vlog series, and that just adds to like the sum of the industry as a whole. And I think, surfing's similar.
Okay.
Like they spread it out, and then you've got guys that will go off and they'll do their film trips, and they've got all of these, different, like one of the magazines, Stab, they do this thing called Stab in the Dark every year, where they get like a top level surfer to ride boards that have no logos on it, and then they pick their favorite surfboard. So it could be from some fucking Joe Blow backyard surf shaper in Cooley, or it could be from John Pizell, who shapes John Florence's boards. So it's like, and then they put that up, and it's like a 45-minute thing that goes up on YouTube. So it's like, that's like cool shit that adds to the sport. Yeah. And like Motospy, so when the first episode of Motospy that I was in, my girlfriend's dad was like, oh, I'll watch it. Dude's never watched Supercross in his life, ever. And then he jumps on and he watches episode, I think I was in episode 2 or something. And then he's like, oh, well, let's go back and watch the first one. So then he watches the first one, and then he's like texting me, when's episode 3 come out? And then he's watching episode 3. And this is a guy that never watched it before. So it's like, this is the kind of shit that converts fans. Like, the racing is cool, and it's what is like the nucleus of the sport. But that's not what gets people in. Like, it's so rare that you will see, like, for instance, the UFC. Like, they had one event. They had one event that just blew the fucking doors open. They had the fight between Forrest Griffin and Stephan Bonner, and it was the Ultimate Fighter 1 finale. And it was, I think it was like live and free on TNT, and then, or Spike or something back then. Okay. But you would have you had people that would call each other and be like, holy fuck, turn your television to this, because it was a war, dude. Like, these two guys for 25 minutes just stood in the center of the octagon and just fucking belted each other. And it was a bloodbath. And it was like, it was the, still to this day, they say it's the best fight ever. But that was like one event that completely catapulted the sport into a whole new stratosphere. That
Right.
never happens. Like that is literally the lottery of sport. Never, ever, ever happens. Like when have you, maybe there's like some soccer matches or something like that over there, but it's like no one's calling their mum or their best friend and being like, you have got to see Eli Tomac and Cooper Webb battling right now. It doesn't happen.
Nah, it's true.
So it's like if that's not what gets fans, if that's not what's happening, then it's like you've got to look outside of those kind of outside of just the racing itself to like get new fans, because people that love bikes are going to watch the racing. But it's like the sport's cool enough to be a casual fan that doesn't ride, but it's like that's just not getting to people. So I think that that especially like MotoSpy and stuff like that is a really great reason to, or like that's something that actually does draw fans in.
Yeah. There's definitely as well, the insurgence of vlogs, I think, are interesting. I mean, I'm not a huge vlog fan. I've had a few guests on the podcast that have been vloggers as well as being professional athletes. But again, like you said, that is what converts people into watching Crankworks, because they've followed that athlete, throughout the week at home. And I guess the negative is it's a lot of work for athletes, but if they're not in that rigorous, every week grinding, they've got time to do stuff like that and put a little bit of effort into it. And for me, that I love that side of it now, to be honest with you as well. I like watching what these guys are up to, how do they train, and that's what people want to see. I'd watch way more of that stuff with moto if it was there, but the schedule's just brutal. Like AC, when he was injured, was doing some cool vlogs. They were fun, but then as soon as it starts with the season, there's no time for that.
Well, the problem is, it's not even that there's no time for it, dude, because they do have downtime. The problem is that as soon as if AC kept doing the vlogs and then kept winning and then won the championship, no one cares. But if AC does the vlogs, gets fourth, gets fifth, then everyone's like, oi, dude, put the fucking camera down, start winning. So, like, that's the problem. So these dudes are way too scared to do it. So like Todd Waters did a vlog of like his whole Europe thing, and then he just had like a really shit year. He broke his collarbone at the first race and just couldn't get back. And then all anyone talked about over here was like how fucking Todd needs to stop vlogging. And it's the same as like, do you follow Jats on Instagram, Jackson Richardson?
I think so, yeah. I think so. I'm not sure.
So
I can't remember seeing anything from him though.
So he was doing his Jats mix. So like he'd get riding clips of himself, and then he'd like get crash videos, and like, so he'd always do these like 1 minute edits every week called Jats mix. Okay. And like, dude, they were fucking killing it. And then this year, so like he won 2 Supercross championships in a row. Yep. And then this year he lost the championship. So everyone was like, then he didn't get hired again, and everyone's like, well, all he cares about is his videos. And it's just like, dude, what the fuck do you think? Like, he actually has an autograph line. Like, there's no one else in Australia that has an autograph line. It's Jats. Like, people froth him. But, then he loses his job, he loses sponsors, because all of a sudden he's, like, not winning, and it's because he's doing these vlogs. And it's like, it's fucking not, bro. Like, he's not winning because he did his shoulder halfway through motocross, and he's fucking sick of being hurt. Like, he needs more time to be fast again. Yeah. So it's like, it's so annoying, because it's like, it's the same people that are like, how do we make the sport grow? We need more sponsors. And the teams are going like, oh, well, times are tough. We need more sponsors, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, all right, well, let this dude that's got more followers than anybody else make his fucking Jats Mix videos that everyone likes. And then it's up to you to leverage that. You need to then, as the team manager, go, all right, we've got this rider. He has the best following on social media in the sport. He's got the best personality. He connects with blah, 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 So it's like, that's your job.
Yeah, definitely.
Because look at Win Masters, perfect example.
Yeah, Win kills it. Fair. Yeah, Win kills it.
And it's like, does he need to win races for people to love him and to be influenced by the gear he wears, the bikes he rides, all that shit?
100%. No, not at all. Not at all.
He just needs He just needs to do Win TV and be
Just
a
be
fucking
him.
legend and do Wheelie Wednesday. That's it.
Yeah, it's true. Just be him. Yeah, definitely. There is. I think mountain biking's really blessed with that, though. There are quite a lot of characters, and I think there's definitely in the motor a lot of them maybe shy off showing the character, like you said before, just to stay PC and to stay sort of within that little like bubble. I don't know, but mountain biking does seem to have a lot
Well,
more.
does mountain biking have a 70-year-old team manager?
That's a good point.
Nope.
Yeah. No.
They're
no.
all young and cool as fuck.
Yeah, definitely. Huh. Yeah, I never
So
really
I
thought about
think-
that either.
So let's see who we've got in moto. We've got Roger DaCosta, old as fuck. McCarthy at Yamaha, old as fuck. Eric Kehoe, 56 years old.
Yeah.
Like Tyler Keefe is young. He's cool. You've got Coy Gibbs, who's old and rich at JGR. And then you've got Mitch Payton, old and rich.
Old and rich, yeah.
They just don't fucking get it.
That's
And it's
interesting,
like
isn't it?
Yeah, and then in mountain biking, like, can you name one 70-year-old team manager or like one team manager where like, he's old and rich?
Yeah. I guess as well, it's the age of the sport. I guess downhill's still relatively new in comparison to supercross and motocross. So these guys have like hung on to it, haven't they? They've just like got a career in there, team manager, and they've just hung on almost. Not hung on, they were obviously good at the job, but there's no like recycle of get the young guys in. These guys, do you know what I mean? There's a few that.
Well, there's no like, okay, we'll let you take care of this and we'll take care of this. Like Roger DaCosta's still got a place in the team, but it shouldn't be telling riders like what is, going to be great for their career or sport or whatever. Like, look at Villapoto. Like, how much has he come out of his shell after he retired? And then all I hear anyone say is like, I wish we had this version of Poto. But it's like, well, no, you didn't. Because the sport has these rigid guidelines that are set by old people that are out of touch. And if you don't follow those guidelines, then you don't get a paycheck.
True. Yeah, I guess as well, someone like Hanny, he was always maybe trying to go outside those guidelines a little bit, would you say? And then
Yeah, for sure.
just thrives outside of those guidelines. Those guys. Josh Hill, same sort of guy. As soon as he gets out of it, the vlog stuff's massive. What he did on those Alta bikes was sick. Just like,
Yeah.
I wanted to buy one of those because he was riding it so damn good. It's like, he's
sick
got a
bikes, man.
job outside of the sport, just being an ambassador for brands and probably killing it. Same as Poto. He's carried on with Yamaha, isn't it now? And
Dude, the biggest, I would
That's
say
the
one of the top 5 biggest riders in the sport right now would be Ronnie Mack.
do you think?
100%.
Wow. How weird's that?
But that just goes to show, like, people don't give a fuck. Like, all that, like, just entertain me. I want someone to follow.
Yeah.
Like, I want someone to be pumped on. That's
Yeah.
it. And, like, dude, even the, like, that podcast I mentioned, like, I won't listen to that podcast daily. I probably will listen to, like, 3 episodes over time, right?
Yeah.
But I'll look at them every day on Instagram. Like, I follow them and I'm like, that's really cool. And I even find that, I find that even with like Gypsy Tales there'll be like people that will follow it on Instagram. Like I meet people every single day with like, oh, I seen you did that podcast with such and such. And I'll be like, oh, did you listen to it? And they're like, oh, I will. But it's like they see it on social media and they like follow everything on social media, but they're not necessarily like investing the time to listen to every podcast or whatever.
Yeah,
and like I do that. Like that,
same.
that dude that, the Daily Show guy, there's a guy called Adam22 who's like this fucking rad white dude that does all of these hip hop shows, rap interviews and stuff like that. I barely listen to any of his podcasts, but I follow him religiously because I'm like, I've just attached to him. Like, you're a super cool dude and I just like your shit. I like your posts and you like to follow people's progression and you like to see like their journey. It's like that. It sort of just doesn't really matter what he does or doesn't do. I'm just sort of on board his train.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's what I think, even I reckon Win would be like that for a lot of people. People aren't really, I couldn't tell you what Win got at the first World Cup.
No,
I
but you follow him. Yeah.
I love that dude, and I watch every video he posts. And so it's like it's irrelevant what he does now. It's just like, you know, you're just sort of more attached to these people and like their journey, and then the rest is just like, oh man, just following your life. Like it's cool.
Yeah, I got it the opposite way around quite a lot as well, where people slide into the DMs. I hate that term. I don't know why I just used it, mate. I'm so sorry. People will like drop you a direct message and like, you know, say something like, "Oh, I love your podcast. I've been listening from the beginning," and they've only just started following you, and you're like, "Well, why didn't you do that ages ago?" But I then think, well, I do the exact same thing. I listen to tons of podcasts, and I don't follow them on Instagram because I don't want my feed clogged up with more. Not that it's shit, but you know, I get it in my podcast feed.
What's stuff that you've already seen? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm on the train. I listen to it. It comes up when I'm in the van. I'll throw it on. So that always trips me out. That people don't always follow the whole thing. They just, you know, they're not part of the mailing list. They're not in the Facebook groups, but they're still listening every day. Well, every episode.
Yeah, no, you're right, eh?
Yeah, because I always you know, I'm not really analytical at all, but I'll look at the figures of certain episodes and go, fuck, that had like 10 times more downloads than I have followers on Instagram. Like, how does that work? Yeah. But it does. Like, that is what is happening. It's weird, really strange. But
yeah,
I guess there's also
iTunes
is fucking mental. I can't. Yeah, I gave up a long time ago, man. Like, I don't even figure it out. Yeah, I honestly don't really care anymore. It's great when you see yourself up there and stuff. It's great, but I ain't chasing it anymore. Do you know what I mean? It's just people will find, and we spoke about this recently, right? About just being honest and just being I can't remember. You used a better word for it, relatable or whatever it is. Just being yourself, and you know, chasing for downloads and just trying to get an ego trip isn't me at all. So I've gone like the opposite way with it. And just let people find it when they find it, you know, just whatever. I enjoy chatting. I enjoy chatting to you. I don't need to go out there and try and make people listen. You'll listen if you want to listen. If you don't, then it's cool. It's fine. But I guess society just drives us to always be searching for the bigger number, the bigger amount of downloads. Do you know what I mean? But sometimes it might not necessarily be engaged either. It might be people that, I don't know, like they'll follow you on Instagram, but they never, you know, they never like anything. They never drop you a message. You never hear from them. It's irrelevant, isn't it? Really, you know, I'd rather have 50 followers that are all rad dudes that you talk to all the time than 50,000 that, yeah, doesn't. I don't know. It's just weird. It's just a trip, man. The whole thing. I mean, I can't.
Well, it's weird. Like, it's weird because so the numbers side of it to me is like a game in a way.
Right.
And it's like, I see what I did last month and then I'm like, all right, let's just beat that this month. Yeah. But I definitely don't have like a drive to like pay for Facebook ads and Instagram ads and YouTube ads and like do all that shit. But it's like, but even you said to me the other night, you're like, you don't even put hashtags on your Instagram videos. And I was like, I don't. And I just fucking, a lot of times I'm just busy and I'll post something and I'm just doing it as quick as I can so that I can move on to the next thing or get to training or fucking make a surf or build a studio or whatever it is. So it's like, you know, that's like, I'm trying to do the best that I can in terms of making the content.
Yep.
And then from there, it's just like, I don't know. But even, like, I was talking to a friend of mine last night and he's one of my best friends. He's, one of my coaches as well. And he's just opened a new gym and he's like, he said to me, that's really cool. You know, like you've been inspiring me lately because of how hard you've been going with the new studio and the podcast. And like, he's around me all the time, so he sees how much I work. And it was even weird to like take a compliment about it, you know? So like there is like a weird thing where it's, I don't know, like you try and, it's almost like I feel like if I accepted that compliment and be like, yeah, man, nah, it's all good. I am pretty fucking rad. Then it's like, that feels so wrong to even, but then factually he is right. Like I do work a lot and I literally put all my money into this new studio. Like I don't have any fucking money at the moment. So it's just like, and then, you know, he's like, you just go all in. And hope that it works. And I'm like, well, fuck, man. Like, what else? I don't know. Like, that's just sort
Dude,
of
this is
my
what
mentality.
you do, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it
But,
gets you down sometimes as well. I know, I just went through some shit. We talked about obviously before. I guess on paper, pretty much nearly died, and then came out of it with a totally different perspective on life and business and how hard you should be pushing at things and stuff. But then there's a fine balance between being pretty like chill and being like, fuck it, you only live once, just go do whatever you want to do. But when you run a business or you want to be successful in something, you almost can't take your foot off the gas. So you're playing this game all the time with you, especially with me, like with my own brain. Like, right, how hard do you go at that before enough's enough? Do you know what I mean? And that's what's tripping me out at the minute. Without going too deep on you, I'm just like, okay, I've come out of this thing. I had like a really nice week where I was like super tranquil and I was like, just chill out, everything's okay. And then you go back into your normal routine almost of, running a business and doing this. And my girlfriend said to me earlier, she's like, oh, so you're back at normal life again. So we're recording this, right now it's 10 to 11 at night. I don't know, whenever we finish, let's say, but 4 hours sleep, drive for 6 hours. And it's like you're back in that routine, but you have to do it, because if you don't, you have no business. And it's just this game that I'm playing all the time in my head of like, okay, no, have a day off tomorrow, or just work on that, or work on this. But you can't, because you can't take your foot fully off the gas.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It is. Yeah. It's such a hard balance. Like, but that's what, people, everyone just says like balance is sort of key, but I think I've definitely chosen, I think that the podcast could be a lot bigger than it is on my end if I actually tried a little bit harder with some things, but it's like, I don't know. To me, it's like focus on the right thing. So it's like you could focus on. So like a good analogy is like, let's say you go to the gym and you're like, all right, I'm going to get bigger. You go to the gym every single day. But while you're in the gym, you're not exactly pushing your body as hard as you possibly can. But then you go home and you'll take like every single supplement that's on the market.
Right.
So it's like, all right, you've put maximum energy into supplements, which can yield X% of gains. And then you didn't quite put your full effort into the gym and the actual lifting of the weights. That's the hardest part that will yield the most gain. So it's like you need to put your effort. Like if you were a smart person, what you would do you'd go fucking balls to the wall in the gym and you wouldn't worry about the supplements. Like if you could only put effort into one thing. So it's like, for me, I've been like, all right, I'm going to put a lot of effort into the conversations. I'm going to put a lot of effort into the videos. I'm going to put a lot of effort into like the quality of what I'm doing. And then to me, it's like the advertising and exactly. And then to me, it's like all the advertising, the schmoozing, the hashtagging, the fucking liking other people's photos, all the fucking other shit. That to me is like the supplements. And it's like, well, back in the day when there was no supplements, you'd still get dudes that were fucking huge. So that's sort of like where my headspace is a little bit with it, because it's like I still want I want my life to be, I want like a full life. I'm still obsessed with training. I still train every day. I've been trying to surf a lot more. Like I'm trying to surf in the morning. Like I'll probably go after this. I'll surf in the morning and then train at night. And then it's like I'll just fit my rest of my shit in around that. And if I don't get to it, I don't fucking get to it. And that's just how it is. And I used to be, especially like when I was doing the film stuff. So like I did that stuff. Like I'd put so much effort into these like 1% that really wouldn't matter. I'd be putting like 99% effort into like the 1% yield. And it's like, it's fucking stupid. But it feels good. And there's like a false sense of, there's like a false sense of accomplishment that comes from that. Yeah. Because it's like you're working on like the shiny thing as opposed to, like the real building blocks or like the foundation of what you're doing. And I used to do that stuff. And I'd get frustrated because I'm like, it's not working. I'm not getting where I want to be. But it's like, I think this time around with the podcast is like, I'm just going to build a really good product and have patience and not be, not be stressing about, oh, I need to be number one on the chart.
Unfortunately, at this point, Jason and I ran into a slight technical issue. So if you want to pause the podcast, maybe if you're enjoying it, you want to share it, do that right now. And if you don't, let's jump straight back in. Enjoy. 100%, man. 100%. I love doing them face to face. Don't get me wrong. It's by far the best way of doing this thing is to just sit and chat and drink coffee, drink beer, whatever it is. Keep it super chill. But having certain guests, use Skype and just Skype in and record it has really helped this thing grow.
Yeah, I definitely could. I could see. There's definitely like a lot of people that I could get on. If I did it by Skype, it definitely would be like way easier to like grow it by doing it on Skype. But honestly, one of the main things, and this is sort of what I was like getting at before, but what I am super into is, and the main criticism that I've got with the podcast and like the main insecurities that I have, like when I go into them, is when people are like, oh, you talk too much. Like that's like the one thing, and I get it. I get why people say that, because if you're the Chad Reed one is a perfect example. That was a massive podcast, like hundreds of thousands of downloads, and even on YouTube, it's got fucking crazy downloads. But it's like all these comments of people that are like, let him talk, you talk too much, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, and then another one where I got that was the Jack Freestone, the surf guy.
Really?
But what people don't, but what people don't understand, I think, here's why I think they do it, is because they're Chad Reed fans. They have no fucking clue who I am.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to them like we're the same thing. So, and like the Toby podcast was the same. Like I got comments being like, this guy loves himself. He doesn't know that he's sitting across from a legend. And I'm like, all right, bro. That dude lives at my fucking house and eats all my food. And every time he goes over to my parents, they cook him whatever he wants. Yeah. He takes home all my shit, and he's just a pest. So it's like that's my relationship with him. Yeah. But the people on YouTube or whatever, their relationship with Toby is like full idolization fanboy. And I think that people get a little bit out of joint when I like don't talk to him like that in a way.
Yeah.
But again, they just don't have context. But if you're a person that listens to like every episode of the podcast, you do have that context, and you do know, like over time you've learned that like he's been one of my friends for 10, 12 years.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, then with the Chad thing, it's like he's this guy that they are all just like super fanning on, and I'm like cutting him off and be like, no, dude, that's not right, or whatever. And it's like that pisses people off. And then the same with Jack Freestone. It's like they're a Jack Freestone fan, and then here's like some dude's like, you talked about reading books for 20 minutes with him. Like, you don't need to educate him on that. It's like, well, he asked that. And like we were having a conversation. And the funny thing is that the people like Chad and Jack were two, like I've known Chad forever, but we weren't really friends. And Jack, I'd never met. I met him the day of the podcast.
Oh, right.
They're two dudes that I now talk to very regularly. Yeah. Like I talk to Jack almost every day now. Like that dude's become a really good friend. So it's like, what is worth more to me? Do I want to please people on YouTube or whoever and make them like the podcast by sitting there and only asking questions? But if I do that, I'm not going to have real conversations with guys like that. And Jack Freestone will not be a guy that I now call my friend. No. And it's not like I'm doing this to like try and be friends with these people, but it's like you sit down and you have a legitimate conversation. And like Jack even said, like I don't think I've ever sat and had a conversation for this long with one person.
Right.
And it's like it's fucking cool.
Yeah,
like we're in this
100%.
room together, we're locked in, there's no distractions, and we're going deep.
Yeah 100%, man. Like, and it obviously comes across really well in your podcast how you do it, and I use it for inspiration all the time. But the thing is as well, man, is it's your podcast, and for anyone to sort of slate it and be like, oh, you should have done this, you should have done that. It's like, well, start your own fucking podcast. Good luck getting Chad Reed to come and sit with you for 3 hours. you're gonna struggle, man. It's gonna be tough, you know. So
and the thing is, like, I would rather come out of this with like a genuine connection with a person.
Yeah.
And if that means that people, you know, on YouTube are not going to be accepting of that, then like that's fine. It's all good. I don't mind. But you know, to me, that's been like the best thing. And I think like I literally just sort of had that thought making coffee this morning. Was like, you know what? The ones that I've got the most criticism for are the people that I've become the tightest with. Right. And it's like, you know, how many times has Chad had the same interview? How many times has, you know, Jack had the same interview? Like, we fucking talked about life and real shit, and you know, like the other thing too is like Jack's actually younger than me.
Oh, right.
So you know, I'm like 5 or 6 years older than him. So it's like, you know, we're having a conversation about life and growing
You're
up
his
and
elder.
shit like that. And it's like, yeah, but people don't have that context in a way. And I think that's one thing about following a podcast from day one or listening to every episode. You're going to get like a lot more context on it. And I think that the bigger the person that comes on the podcast, the more random, like the more one-time viewers you're going to get.
That's it. Yeah, exactly.
And without context, they can make any conclusion about you or what, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you look over, I think it's like 62 episodes or whatever. If you look over 62 episodes, like, you're probably going to get a decent idea of who I am. But in that 3 hours or the one YouTube segment that somebody watches, like one of Chad's YouTube segments has 80 or 100,000 views. It's like, if you only watch that and I am interrupting him and I am being like not argumentative, but like we're going back.
You're having
and
a real
forward,
conversation.
It would look weird if you're like Chad Reed interview, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
But I think I've just had to accept that now and go like, you know what, this is the way I want to do it. I want to have genuine conversations with people. I want to come out of this, you know, like even yesterday. So like the guy that I'll release the episode today, Brent Simpson. He's an ex-bikie, and he went to prison. He had a couple of suicide attempts. He came out of prison and now is like leading a mental health charity and does like youth work. Like a fucking amazing dude. And he posted on there that he was coming on the show, and then Jack immediately, because he knows him, was like, "Fuck, I can't wait for this episode." Blah blah blah.
Right.
So it's like, you know, he's like engaged, and it's like, you know what, this is the way I've decided to run it. It's probably going to come with criticism, but at the end of the day, it's like it's real, and I've made some really cool friends out of it. And even yourself, you know, like we've been fucking good friends out of it.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? It's really it's nuts, and it's the same though, man. I've had exactly the same experience with mine. You know, certain guests have come on which I've been blown away just to be even sat here, even if it's on Skype or in person, to be having a conversation with these people. And yeah, they've become good friends. We text back and forth, you know, meet up or whatever. One of those prime example is Ollie Wilkins. Like, I used to love watching Ollie Wilkins ride a bike. Even, you know, when I was young, and then all of a sudden he's been on the podcast for a bunch of times. We're working on a few projects together, and it's like that's all come just from an idea of starting a podcast. It's nuts, and it's opened up. You know, this thing's opened up a world of opportunities, man. Even if it's not really financially, but you know, I raised some money for a charity, which was really cool. And you know what I mean? Like, I'm loving using the platform to actually be a force of good rather than just using it to peddle shit to people. Like you always say in the adverts as well, right? Like, I could pretty easily now with the following have a mattress. Sorry, I swallowed at the wrong time. Could quite easily have like a mattress company come on board and have to talk to people about fucking mattresses. But I don't want to. Do you know what I mean? It's my platform. I've built it. I'm really protective over it. And I'll only have sponsors or people involved that I actually want them to be involved with it. And I'm liking that. You know, it's not a monetary thing. It's not financially incentivized really at all. You know, it's nice to have your expenses covered, but who gives a shit? Do you know what I mean? I just like having conversations with people.
Yeah, you're so right. It's definitely hard, like, because I've sort of tried to go into it full time.
Yeah.
So that, like, I'm struggling to find the balance of that. But I'm pretty lucky. Like, the sponsors we've got are rad, and I like those people. Like, I surf with half the sponsors, you know. So it's like, it is cool. And even like, dude, I know that you're sponsored by Saks and we're having undie wars, but like Rob, I love that comment on the Instagram.
I saw that too.
But yeah, like Rob from Nobby, honestly, has become like a mentor in my life now.
Really?
Like, that dude is a fucking genius, bro.
Right.
Like, he is one of the smartest people I've ever met.
No.
And like, even, you know, if he says tomorrow, like, hey, we're not doing the ads anymore, I'll be like, all right, cool. Can I still call you every week? You know, like, he's just one of those guys. So it's like, yeah, it's insane the opportunities and like the people that you can sort of meet through it. But it's like, you know, oh, sorry, go ahead, bro.
No, go on. It's all good.
It is definitely hard when it is like it sort of is a full-time thing that I'm trying to do, and like, we're building this new studio, and like, the new studio is going to be legit, like, state of the art. Like, it's going to be as good as any. Oh fuck, bro, I'm so excited.
Where is it then?
Like, it's so we got a warehouse in Burleigh.
Wow.
So it's like 15 minutes from the Coolangatta airport.
Okay. So,
you know, we can start having guests like fly in, and then like right now, like, this studio is just in my like basement essentially. So people come and you gotta like walk down the driveway, and it's like, it's in a fucking complex sort of deal. But like, this new one is like its own warehouse. You drive in, and there's gonna be like essentially like a green room with like a bit of a bar, you know, coffee machine, like sort of that whole deal. Lounges, so like if someone comes with like their family, there'll be a TV on the wall that will actually, the podcast will go to, so people can sit and listen in on it, in like the foyer area. And then upstairs, it's like, we're doing a full soundproofing. We're having like some cool, it'll look really cool, like a cool palette feature wall and stuff like that.
Nice.
But then Mick, I'm sure you've heard me talk about him a bunch on there. He's like our producer now, you know, and he will be like live switching everything. All the cameras are like mounted on the wall, so there's no tripods in the room. So it's just super clean. We'll have like a 65-inch TV. Everything's just gonna be super legit. So I'm like fucking pumped for it. I bet. But that's expensive.
Oh, of course. But do you feel that will have that much of an impact on your podcast? Are you expecting it to sort of, I don't know, what are you expecting from it? I mean, I guess that's the question. That experience, will that translate to downloads, which translates to sponsors, which translates to money? Was that accurate?
Well, I mean, I think it will.
Yeah.
But for me, I just want like a better, like what I want to do, like I want to create an experience for people. So like right now, when people come on, in my mind, they leave going like, fuck, that was so cool. Like, that was a great conversation. Yeah. But that's sort of what the experience is. I want the experience for the guests to be like, they come in, we've got like a photography studio next door as well. So we're going to be able to do like all of our own, like, you know, the Pastrana image that I sent?
Yeah,
how we shot that in a studio. So I'm going to do that every episode now.
Wow.
So we'll have like, our guests will have really cool assets to go home with. We'll have better assets to promote, like thumbnails and stuff like that. But it's more like, they get to the building, it's like, oh, you want a coffee? Stand there, make a coffee. The building's rad. Like, if they flew in, they want to take a shower, there's a shower there. There's, you know, like the lounge set up. There's going to be, there's like right outside our studio wall, there's like a huge desk that like is built into the wall that like runs along it. So there'll be chairs and stuff there. So it's like, if they've got some emails to bang out, or, you know, they want to work for the day, or if they're flying in the morning and then they fly out at night, they can literally just stay there and sort of work or hang out. So it'll just be, I feel like, more of just like an overall experience. Yeah. And then I think that, I don't think it'll make, I mean, it certainly won't make the iTunes version of the podcast any better. But I think the video side will improve, which I guess will look better for sponsors. But I just think it will be more of like an overall experience for someone. And it's like, say, you know, like a Chris Hemsworth or something comes on, he brings his wife, or it's just, I guess it legitimizes it a little bit and sort of takes it out of like the basement and into like a more professional setup, if that makes sense.
No, definitely. That sounds super exciting, man. I love that. I love that that's what you're doing with it, because for me, that is the future of this whole thing, is more of a production behind it, I feel. I mean, you look at what Rogan's doing, and then you look at, I mean, Fighter and the Kid, prime example. I know it's not even as good as what you're going to be doing, but it's just that extra, the visual aspect of it, the production behind it, the quality of what people are listening to, because there's been certain episodes I've put out where I've been a bit like, fuck, like I wish I'd taken the time out to do that a little bit better. And again, that's something I'm trying to do, is just like slow this shit down a little bit and not rush, because usually I'd finish doing this tonight and then I'd work for like 4 hours on it and then I'd put it straight out. Whereas now it's like, nah, just chill out, man. Like, just do it tomorrow. It's cool. It's fine. And people will get a better listening experience, hopefully. You know, the quality should be a little bit better. If there's any editing that needs doing, I will actually do it. Whereas before, I was a little bit too relaxed, a little bit too like, fuck it, it'll be okay. But I know if I was the end user, I'd be like, this is shit. You know what I mean? I can't listen to this. It's shit. So, yeah, moving forward, I want to do something, you know, relatively similar to what you're doing, to be honest. You know, we've got an office for Hook It, the distribution side of the business, but there's not really space for a full-blown studio. But the last episode I did with Joe from Steel City Media, I need to link you guys up, actually, just on the off chance that there's anything you can do together. You know, we did it.
Yeah, I love his shit, man. Like, I always watch his stuff.
Really? Yeah, you guys need to know each other.
Yeah,
so
he's good.
We'll link that up just in case there's anything in the future. But you know, we just.
Did you know who listens to the?
Huh?
You know who reached out and said that they listen to the podcast was Clay Porter. And
really?
That dude, he was like my filming fucking hit. That dude, like, I don't know. I mean, people obviously know like how good of a filmmaker he is.
Yeah.
But technically, I don't think people appreciate how good he is technically. Right. Like, as a lens man, like a dude that's on the camera, the stuff that he can physically do is fucked up. Like, he's one of the best filmers I've ever come across, ever, in any production experience that I've ever been in. Like, he's a fucking G.
Really? Have you worked together as well, or no?
That's pretty sick, yeah. Nah, never worked together. Nah, he worked with Wes on a project.
Did he?
And I know his business partner really well. Like, I've worked with his business partner, but never worked with him. But yeah, I was like, he was like one of my first sort of like main inspirations for filming.
Yeah, he was. Really, he worked on Death Grip, so I'm pretty sure he's been on here. Man, is it bad that I don't know that? Yeah. Yeah,
he did do that one.
Yeah, I thought so. Fuck, I was like, has he been on here? What the hell? Yeah, I'm sure he's been on the podcast. Jeez. Things are getting too big. I can't remember.
That's classic, yeah. Yeah, I know, you just do so many. I forget what I've talked about.
Huh?
I always forget what I've talked about.
Oh, man, I'm terrible. My memory's awful, dude. It's getting significantly worse as I'm getting older, too. I can feel it. It's just fucking shit. But never mind. You still there? It seems to have broken up a little bit.
I can feel my... Yeah, I got you.
All right. So what did you make to Vegas? I wanted to ask you that because it was actually quite interesting.
I thought it was fucking boring, to be honest. It was just I mean, the 450 class was shit. I just got a parking ticket. Fuck. Bugger.
Yeah, the 450
Harry just texted
class.
me and I was like, I forgot that my car was parked out the front. The 450 class, like that race was just super boring. Like the heat race was cool with Eli and Coop going at it.
Yeah.
And then Eli just like, I just don't get what's going on with that guy.
No, me either, mate.
Well, I mean, my theory with Eli is that he just overrides. Like he just overrides massively. And I think that's why no one can touch him in motocross is because he just goes so hard all the time. Like everything is just maximum intensity all the time. But in Supercross, that doesn't translate. Like there's just so much finesse required in outdoors that Eli just doesn't. I mean, I know he could do it, but it's like he just gets like a bull at a gate kind of mentality. And when it works, but when it doesn't, it really doesn't. And I think James was. I don't know that like James was the same, because I think James had a lot more finesse, but I think he was going almost faster than the tracks would sort of let him, and then on the other side of that, he set his bike up so stiff in the front end for the whoops that it was just very unpredictable in a lot of other sections of the track. But I just think Eli, it's just like a straight overriding thing. And like you see that in the heats, man. Like he was just like OJing every single rhythm section.
It's fucking nuts.
And like it's just like bang into the face, bang into the face, bang into, and it's like it's fucking fast while it works, but it's so easy for it not to work.
Yeah.
And you look at Dunge, like when has anyone ever said fuck Dungy's overriding?
No, just finesse, yeah.
No, like it
totally.
No, it's just all timing and all finesse. So yeah, I mean, I think that's like people are like, yeah, that's one of the questions I get a lot is about Eli, like what's going on with him. It's just like he just needs to slow down. He's too fast, and he needs to like, and then on the nights where he's like off the pace, it's not because he's off the pace. It's because that riding style is slowing him down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
So,
that
and
makes
it's like,
sense, yeah.
like you look at Daytona, it's like you can just charge at Daytona. It just doesn't matter at all. So you see him win. But yeah, like Vegas, you can't do that shit. So yeah, I mean that heat race was like kind of cool to watch. It was like it's like almost funny at the moment to just see like crash or like you just expect it now.
Dude, I totally agree with you. You are waiting for it to happen. It's like, yeah, he's over. Like you said, he's overriding again. It's coming. Yeah, he's gonna get cross-rutted somewhere. Something's gonna go wrong. Boom, there it is. And then he'll charge back again. It's like, what the? But I love when he flicks that switch and you can just tell, like, underneath that helmet, it's fucking on. Do you know? It's on. Do you know? I love that shit. But
yeah, like he's just straight beast mode all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then I don't know, like yeah, Coop come out, he did awesome, got on the box again, and then wins the championship. Like it's pretty insane. Like you think about what I think about with a guy like that is that he's been at this since he was 4.
yeah,
And last Saturday night was what he's been thinking about since he's 4. It's like 20 years
Jeez, yeah.
of thinking about one thing. And then on Saturday night, you just did the one thing. It's like, it doesn't matter now. You could forever, no matter how long he lives, he did what he set out to do his whole life. And that to me is just like, it's such a gnarly thing. And I think it's like, even we just take that shit for granted, I reckon, eh?
Definitely.
Like, we're like, oh, fuck, that's cool, he won the championship. But it's like what it actually means to him and how long he's been thinking about it. And then on the flip side, Adam crashing out of the 250 class, it's like he was that close to having one of his goals achieved that he's thought about his whole life. And that full, like, we did the live thing at the at that sports bar for like the final, and it fucked me, dude. Like,
really?
I was so, I couldn't talk, man. Like, I was so devastated. Like, I just sat there sad for him that had happened. I was just like, fuck, bro. I cannot believe that after everything you've been through,
it was
that happened.
so close. A matter of what, 5 laps, maybe?
Yeah.
That close. And he rode pretty much picture perfect all year. Give or take, the odd loss to Ferrandis, but fucking hell, man. Like you said, it's such a trip when you think how hard those guys have been going for that long. I mean, Cooper riding since he was 4, wins a championship at 24, and all the other shit behind the scenes, like the financial strain on families probably, all that stuff. And like you said, now he's done it. Yeah, I mean, I didn't even watch the press conference. I didn't even watch podium, but I was just like, that's cool, he won it. It's probably really naive on my part to be like, fuck, like that guy has just achieved that one thing that him and his family have been pushing for forever. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's cool.
Like, and you probably don't even have a goal like that.
Nah. This is hard to
I
have a
don't.
goal like that, isn't it?
Yeah, most people don't even have a goal that big.
No.
So it's like you can't relate because you don't even have a goal that big.
No.
I don't have a goal that big.
No. Not many people have got a goal
Fucking-
that big. That's that tunnel vision and that dedicated for that long. And to go through that much shit.
So I think that's why it's and I think that's why it's so easy for us to just like scrub off it. You just like, yeah, fuck, cool, dude. That's rad. Good on you.
Yeah.
But it's like we just don't have the context. That
I do feel
they-
like some people
like,
win a championship there and it's a bit of an accident. I don't know. I had that feeling maybe because I just haven't seen the come up of someone like Chase Sexton. I didn't really know that much about him. I was just like, oh, cool, man. That's cool. I guess you were second best guy, really, but you won the championship.
Yeah, well, I think the same. That's the same for Ferrandis. Well, not as bad as Chase because, like, at least Ferrandis did beat AC.
Yeah.
But yeah, like man, it would have been crazy because like one of the things I was like really anticipating or like kind of waiting to see play out was the fact that AC, Chase, and Kenny all train together.
Right.
So they're at Moto Sandbox.
Okay.
And can you imagine if like 2 titles went to that camp? So it's like because it's sort of like Alden's and Moto Sandbox is like the 2 super camps at the moment.
Yeah.
So it's like the 450 championship went over to Alden's program, but then Kenny would have had AC and Chase win those 2 titles. So I was like, I was wondering if that would sort of start to swing a bit of momentum Kenny's way, or you know, like I was just waiting to see how that sort of scenario would play out.
Who's running Moto Sandbox? Who is that?
So I think the Grundle family own it.
Right.
But it's like Kenny's trained by his brother-in-law.
Is he?
Yeah, and they sort of Blake Savage. He was a really good A rider back in the day, but he actually got hurt. He broke his back.
Right.
So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is there now with him and what like the training and stuff sort of looks like. So I'm not sure how that program.
Kenny's that sort of guy though. Needs it a little bit loose.
Kenny's always been
a little bit more. Yeah, a little bit
Man,
more
I think
relaxed.
he needs to go even. He needs to go even looser again. I reckon, dude. Like, I think that you look at like a guy like Kenny back in the day. Like when he first moved to America and he was just like smashing everybody. He was fucking loose, dude. Like drinking beers all the time, like partying and carrying on. Yeah, and I think it's like that. You slowly get like worn into like this rut.
Yeah.
To where like he didn't even party after Vegas. And it's like people change and they grow up and that sort of stuff. But it's like at some point they're like what you really are, I think, if you win the 450 Supercross Championship is you're the fucking alpha male top dog of the sport. Yeah. And there's a certain headspace you need to occupy to like be that guy. And I think that I don't know, like it might sound trivial or it seems silly, but it's like I think the way you carry yourself off the bike and look at what he did when the season that he crashed, he was rocking up in suits and fucking sports cars to every press conference. Like he was like trying to be that guy. Like he just had that presence. And then I think that you look at what Cooper did, shooting the guns and the way he talks at press conferences and the way that he just dominated Marvin. Like mentally, every day through the week, he fucking dominated Marvin. And that showed in like the championships. Like at no point did I think that like, damn, Marv's got it over Coop.
Nah.
Didn't, like there was no, I was like, Marv's Coop's bitch.
Yeah.
And, you know, so it's like, I just think that the dude that has that mentality and is like that alpha male presence is the guy that wins the championship most of the time. And like you could see it with Chad when he won. You could see it with Ricky when he won. Like Ricky was fucking swagging out on everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that I just don't think Ken had that same presence this year. I think he was trying to focus on himself so much of like, I just need to win a race and get him back. But it's like, I just don't know that that's like the attitude that you should have. I think you need to go into it as like way more of a fucking badass and have that edgy mentality that Coop had.
Do you think maybe factory Honda as well being involved might be a negative? Do you reckon he'd be better on a not a satellite team, but like when he was on
Well-
H&H, that was like the perfect fit.
That's the only time he won a title, bro.
Yeah.
No, he won the outdoor title with KTM. But yeah, like he was loose there, won a lot of races. But like so I guess he won his title at KTM, but he was still being a bit of a wild boy at KTM, and that's really why he left, is because he wanted to like get more and more in that environment. But I think that the year that when he went to RCH and Dunge beat him, I think that Dunge got in his head.
Really?
Like, yeah, from being around, like I was still there at that point,
Right.
And I was around both of those dudes,
Yeah.
and I think that Ken started to really worry about what Dunge was doing, but I think that when Ken beat Dunge, they were like on the same team. So they were around each other a lot more.
Yeah.
And then that's why I think that Coop got the better of Marvin, is because like say with like Coop and Eli, they only see each other for like 20 minutes on Thursday, and then they're around each other all day on Saturday. That's sort of it. That's like, so it's a lot harder to win that like mental battle with somebody, or you've got less of a chance to like affect their mentality. So then I think that with Coop and Marv, Coop gets a chance to affect Marvin's mentality every day.
Every day.
So every single day. And like I've been around both of those guys a lot, and Coop's a little fucking savage, bro. Like
Really?
he is like when you're around him, you like have to bring your A game of like shit talk, and there's like a certain energy you've got to carry to like kind of keep up with or like maintain like a level playing field with him.
Yeah.
Because he and Carmichael's the exact same. Like you've got to be on your shit just to be around him. Otherwise, you're just gonna get fucked. Yeah, dude, you're just gonna get walked over, like walked over. And yeah, so I think that, and Marv's not that dude. Marv's just super nice, super respectful, like doesn't want any confrontation, just wants to like go and do his thing.
Yeah.
So when you put those two dudes together daily, I just don't think Marv mentally was able to run the race with Coop over a full season, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
He was just beat every weekend.
Yeah. Or probably before he even gets to the track.
Before he got there,
he's been fucking with him all week or whatever. Just, getting demoralised at the practice track. That's a trip, man.
Even if Marv was faster than Coop on a day, I guarantee that Coop would have had some comments and some remarks and said some shit to his mechanic in front of Marv that would have made Marv feel like he just didn't win.
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of guy that he is. And I think so, like to go back to the Dungy Roxon thing. So when Dunge and Ken were around each other every single day, Ken's got that same presence and that same sort of vibe.
Okay.
So I think that's why you saw it affect Dunge so much. And then when Ken went and did the RCH thing, and then Dunge was on KTM, he just had less of a chance to affect him. And then as soon as they went away, and then Dunge started stealing some wins and stuff, then I remember being at Alden's one day, and Dunge said, "Oh, I know I'm in Kenny's head this season."
Oh, really?
Yeah, like straight up. And I was like, fuck, dude. So like Dunge doesn't come across like he has that, but he definitely has that in him to a point.
Yeah.
And I think that just the fact that Ken wasn't there every day grinding on him, then it's like you've only got that. You've got that window where it's like Dunge can like stay in that race if it's one day a week. He has to mentally sort of get over Kenny, but to just do it for a whole season, Kenny's just got so much swag, and he's so fun, and he's like got an energy that everyone gravitates towards. It's a different vibe with Dunge, but yeah. So I think that when they went away from each other team wise, then it was a lot easier for Dunge to sort of win those battles every day.
Yeah. One thing I'm always thinking about, and it's come up on loads of other podcasts too, is like, who do you think is the next guy? Because I don't I don't really see one yet.
I was going to say, I don't know if I see one yet either, dude.
Nah, I don't see one. I don't even really see one coming through, if I'm honest. I don't know.
Dude.
Maybe Adam, maybe, but he needs to...
Kenny has the most potential, I think.
I think so too. Just maybe he's had another year or so feeling things out, getting back to strength. Because he's been relatively consistent all year, from what I remember. He's always there or thereabouts.
Yeah, well, they said that, or he thinks that he's got sick from that Lyme in San Diego.
Really?
Yep. So he seems to think that he got an infection from that,
Right.
And then that somehow got into his blood, and he's like super fatigued, and he's like sort of having some health issues from that whole San Diego thing.
Huh. Wow. Because that's
Yeah.
what a lot of that motor aspire was about, was getting bloods done and trying to figure some shit out. Why he was off the boil. Huh. Yeah.
Because Kenny's fit, man. Like he's never not been fit in his whole career.
Nah. So at the end of the motocross season, who do you think's going to be the guy?
Well, I think Tomac will probably be the dude in motocross, but I just don't think motocross matters, bro.
Really? That's big. It's all about
I just don't
stadium
think-
shit.
Yeah, I just don't think it matters, and it's like just because like Eli waxed everybody in motocross doesn't make him the guy. Like you go into A1 and it's like anyone can win. Like no one factors in who won outdoors into like who's going to be the man. And Supercross is all they care about. Even in that press conference, Coop goes, they're like, oh, so now people are sort of expecting you to be the guy outdoors. And then Coop just goes, oi, man, I don't give a shit about outdoors.
I need to watch that.
he's like, all I'm thinking about is tonight, bro.
Wow. To be honest,
like,
I mean,
fuck-
even as a
fuck
fan,
yeah.
like I start watching it, you know, I watch Hangtown, I watch a few extra after that, and then I'm just like, fuck it. I'm just not interested
doesn't-
anymore. It just doesn't translate. There's nothing better than just having it there, televised super well. Just the show of it, the whole thing just works. It's just an absolute spectacle.
Yeah, and there's like drama in Supercross. Like it gives you so much more drama. And I love motocross and I love watching motocross and I enjoy watching it more, but there's just not the same amount of drama. And it's maybe because of the way it's televised, but I just don't think it's set up to Supercross is set up to fuck you up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like a death race. It's like you got tough blocks that are trying to grab you. You got like, I don't know, even though motocross is so much faster, it's so much rougher, it's so much gnarlier, I just don't know that it's set up in the same way to like grab you and just jack your shit. So
And the Triple
like,
Crown
I
too,
don't know.
man. I was a massive fan of that. I'm into it.
Yeah.
Are you into it?
Yeah. Fuck yeah, it's so much better, dude.
So much better. So much
Well, like, I wonder if Coop didn't win that first Triple Crown, does he win the championship?
How many points did he win by in the end? I can't remember. It wasn't.
No, so I don't mean points wise. I just mean mentality.
Oh, mentality wise.
So he didn't win until the first Triple Crown, and then he won the Triple Crown, and then that set the whole ball rolling.
Because from what I remember, not many people were even talking about him in January. Because he was
Dude,
pretty shit last year. It's fucking
I
awful.
bagged him for like, because he got fifth. He got fifth at A1, and I was like, I didn't bag him, but I was just like, dude, anyone could ride that fast. Like, he rode stupid. Because he did ride fucking stupid in the mud. But with only the context of that one race, you're just like, oh, he's just sending it.
Yeah.
But then as the season goes on, you're like, nah, he's just that good. So, yeah, like at A1, I just was like, yeah, he just decided to take risks.
I'm still riding Barsha though, man. I always have. I'll ride Barsha's dick into the grave, dude.
He's fucking dog shit.
No, it's coming back. You mark my words.
Barsha is Dunskies.
2019 outdoor national champion, Justin Barsha.
Nah, he's fucking done. He's got Buckley's. You got more chance of winning the outdoor season than Barsha. You got more chance of getting pregnant than Justin Barsha has of winning the outdoors.
It's coming, dude. I can feel it. He was good this year. Supercross for a little bit. 3 rounds.
When? He did like
3
3
rounds.
races. I don't know where he went so wrong.
Yeah, I know. There's a few like that though. But yeah, Justin for sure. Yeah, what happened? Like, where did it all go wrong?
Well, he started buying Lamborghinis and he started doing all sorts of dumb
yeah.
shit. He literally bought a Lamborghini and then gave it back in 2 weeks.
Really? Yeah, because I remember
Yeah.
Kenny said something on social media to him about it. Like, at least I've still got my R8 or something, or I8 or whatever it was.
Yeah. I was in the office of the dealership when that deal got done. And I was just, and yeah, probably can't say too much more about that. But I was like, he's probably not keeping that thing for too long, eh? Because like you need where he lives in. So K-Dub always wanted to get a Lambo too, right?
Right.
But K-Dub's got like a 3-kilometer dirt driveway.
Yeah.
And there's no, like, he lives in fucking Mississippi or Louisiana. It's like right on the border of one of those states. And his driveway is like super long, dirt roads. No one could service it. So what K-Dub was going to have to do to have a Lamborghini was he was going to have to spend like $300,000 or $400,000 paving his or like asphalting his driveway, and then he was going to have to build a shed, and then he was going to have to put a car lift, like a hoist,
Right.
in the shed, and then every time he got the car serviced, he was going to have to fly a mechanic in from Lamborghini to service his car.
What the fuck?
So he was like, well, this is fucking stupid.
Yeah. But Justin went for it.
Yeah, and then Justin lives in like the same sort of scenario. So it's just like, dude, you can't even drive your car into your driveway.
No. Amazing.
So, but yeah, like there's a certain headspace that you're in when you want to like buy Lamborghinis and, you know, and it's
Prima
like,
donna,
that's
rock
not.
star.
And like, does Dunge have a Lamborghini? Nope.
Nah.
You know, it's like the guys that are good that maintain their career. Like Villapoto was never that guy. Dunge was never that guy. So it's like, I don't know. You've definitely got to maintain a certain level of just fucking humility about what you're doing. Like, okay, you're racing bikes. Like, you're not Post Malone.
Yeah. Yeah, there's checks coming, but they're not that big yet.
And you can have a shit season like next year, and then another shit season, and then next minute you're Davey Millsaps.
Yeah, true. Very true. Yeah, Colleen's making more money now.
Yeah, for real. I think she always has.
Yeah.
She was probably skimming that money too.
Oh dear.
They had massive issues, that family.
Really?
They didn't talk for years and years.
Oh yeah, I
and years.
remember that actually. Yeah, they did fall out, didn't they? Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, massively. Pretty crazy, eh?
Back when Davey run the donut. You remember those things?
Dude, the old neck donut. Yeah, I used to fucking froth that so hard. You know what's crazy is like how far out the Liat brace has gone.
Yeah. Well, how far out and what do you mean?
Just gone. No,
Oh, he came and went.
Yeah, in and out.
Yeah.
And we probably saw like more neck injuries while they were in than when they were out.
100%. A lot of broken collarbones
Correct.
in those few years of neck braces. Hell of a
I
lot.
broke mine with one on.
I worked for Liat when they first got big in the States. I worked for the company here, the
Really?
distributor, and I had a good time selling
Yeah,
Liats,
right.
dude. It was like so easy. It's one of those where you're just like, we
Yeah.
do Liat. Oh yeah, cool. We'll take 10. All right, awesome.
Dude, I know a guy that worked worked for the company here, and then he it was killing it, and then they said, oh, we'll give you a pay rise, but we're gonna give you like X amount in stock, and then like the company tanked, and he sort of got fucked over from it.
Ah, jeez, motor
Gnarly,
fashion.
eh?
Yeah, it is gnarly. All right,
But yeah, they went out quick.
They did. Weird. Do you want to do some listener questions? See what came up?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm sorry, man. I'm beat.
No, that's all good.
Dude, my body's still like trying to recover from all this shit. Like I told you about it, right?
Have you spoken about it? What actually happened?
Yeah, I put an episode out actually last week. Me and my two friends who were in the accident, we just sat around a table and we just recorded an episode and put it out. And
That's pretty cool.
yeah, it's done really good. I think it was more of like a therapy session for us three, but I sort of said to the guys, I was like, look, I'll do it, but if it's shit, I'm not going to put it out. And I thought it was shit, to be honest. But, dude, the response from it has been insane. I think there's like a really good message which came out the back of all that, which was about being prepared if you go into the outdoors and basically that you never know. You literally never know when it could be your last day. Do you know what I mean? 30 minutes before all that stuff happened, we were laughing and joking and just like, oh, it'll be all right, we'll be cool. And then next thing you know, boom, you think you're dying. And
it's fucking crazy, eh?
it's been a trip, man. It's taken some getting over. That's the thing. I mean, I sort of knew that physically it was pretty tough, but just the mental side of it as well, man. You know, just I hate the word trauma, but it's a real thing. I never really thought it was. But yeah, I just felt like
shit is for real.
Oh man, I felt like numb for a week and a half. I think I didn't feel anything. I was just like a zombie. And that's why it's been a bit of a trip recently, because you sort of get back into your normal life, and then I'm like,
but with a different perspective.
Different perspective, but also it's like the same shit. Do you know what I mean? It's like a different perspective, but the same shit just carries on happening. But you just have a different approach to how that shit affects you. It's weird. And I never thought I'd be that guy that would be able to say about nearly dying, ever. But now, going through that, I think I'm a firm believer, right, that things happen for you, not to you. And I probably needed it, looking back. You know, I remember that day before all that happened, before we left for the trip, I was like an anxious mess. I was just a mess. And I think I was really looking forward to the trip, to get away, to sort of, you know, clear my head out a little bit. And I think I needed that, like, shake up. To be like, come on, dude. There's, you know, we were talking about before, like, there's more important things in life than what you're chasing. Do you know what I mean? But,
yeah, and it's like just the fucking stress too. Like, what are you stressing for? What are you stressing about? Like, is it as important as you're making it out to be?
Yeah. Is it life or death? No, then it doesn't really matter.
It's crazy too when you have like I had like a real sketchy thing with a helicopter.
Right.
And like I almost fell out of a helicopter in Alaska. And
what the fuck?
It was fucked up, dude. And
wow.
I was filming and like the carabiner for the harness that keeps you in the helicopter was just fucking flapping in the breeze. Then the helicopter banked and I like started falling and I like grabbed the side of the helicopter and like saved myself. And then I like jumped back in, clipped the carabiner on and fucking kept going. But like it was fucking super heavy.
Jeez.
Super heavy.
Jeez.
But it's so funny, like, because we were like flying over this glacier and I was like, I would have fallen in there and then that glacier would not have given a fuck. Like, I would have just frozen over, and then that's just where you stay. Like, life goes on, the world keeps turning. Like, we are, like, super insignificant, but we're, like, at the center of our own lives to the point where we think that we are the universe, but it's like we're not. The universe doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
The universe keeps turning.
Yeah.
If you drowned in that lake, you would have floated to the bottom, or they would have got your body.
Yep.
Body would have gone on the ground. I would have fucking got up in the morning. I would have been super bummed. I would have been super sad, and then my life would have kept going.
Yeah, and everything
else. It sounds like, it sounds fucking gnarly. Like that microphone would be sitting in the same position. The same posters would be on the wall. Like fucking. It all just keeps going. So it's like a little bit of a weird struggle in a way to get your head around the fact that like you kind of don't mean shit.
Dude, that is exactly the battle. Exactly. That is exactly it. You know, I remember because when all this happened, I came home, then my girlfriend's stepsister like had a baby, and she was saying it's weird because like you might have died, the next day another person's just born, and life just carries on for that family, and you're like, fuck yeah, it's so true, man. Like you think you're significant, you really do, but people just carry on. You know, life just goes on. Like you said, everything would just be the same, just without me. And that
Dude,
is,
you know what's crazy?
Yeah.
My grandma just died a couple of weeks ago.
Sorry.
So we flew up and we did all the whole thing, and it was like obviously super fucking heavy and it sucked, and we left so we were all in the room when she died, and then we sort of hung out for a little bit, and then, you know, when we all finally sort of like, all right, we've got to go. We all, like, my whole family got in this elevator, and there was a couple that were taking their newborn baby home.
Really?
Yeah, just a trip. And then like
one in, one out.
Yeah, straight up, dude.
Yeah,
and then I remember they walked in. I was like, "Shit, you got a freshie," and they were like, "Yeah, just born," and like, yeah, it was that was like a big perspective thing too. It's like she just went, and then this baby's here, and yeah, it just keeps fucking going.
It does, mate. It does.
You need to do some mushrooms. That's what you need to do.
Well, it's funny you should say that. So, I think it was last year. Yeah, last year I went on a stag party with some friends. We were on like a canal boat, and I did some mushrooms. I smoked some weed, and I had this very, very weird but amazing experience where I thought I was dying. Right, bear with me. So, you know what a canal boat is, right? Like a super narrow boat.
Oh, yeah, like the Amsterdam canal boat style thing?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. So it's all enclosed. It's like got loads of beds in it, etc. So it's super narrow, so the beds are really, really small. So I got super high, and I was like, I just want to be on my own. So I just took myself to bed, and I got in my bed in this canal boat, and it was super narrow. So I was there, almost like I was in a coffin with my hands like on my chest, thinking, this is like a beautiful experience. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was really nice. It wasn't bad. There was music playing. There was music in the boat, and there was a speaker above my head. It's like really, really nice music playing. I was just like, this is nice. Blah blah blah. I was sort of like tripping, whatever. And then like a bunch of my friends kept coming in to check on me to see if I was okay. Then they'd leave, and I'd be like, oh, if this is like what dying's like I felt like I was in a hospital bed. People would come in, visiting you, saying goodbye, and then they'd leave. And I'm like, fuck, like this is it. This is what dying's going to be like. It's beautiful. Like, it's amazing. Like, all I can feel is euphoria. My whole body feels euphoric. And then, yeah. Anyway, so I had like that crazy, crazy experience. But then this is what tripped me out, right? But then when I thought I was actually going to die, I was shit scared of it, because before I've always been like pretty not scared of dying, but I think you always wonder, don't you? Like, what's it going to be like? Where are you going to be? How's it going to feel? So I had this perception of it from like the mushrooms, that actually it's probably really, really nice. But then I know it's a different circumstance. I fully appreciate that. You know, you're not drowning. But then I was thinking, fuck, I'm actually really scared of it when it is going to maybe happen one day. Well, when it does happen one day. It could be like this, where you panicked and you kicking and you fucking... Yeah, that was the weirdest thing. And I think getting my head around all that's been a bit tough, to be honest.
Well, it's funny, the drowning thing. So I had a really gnarly experience surfing probably like 4 or 5 years ago.
Right.
And it was the biggest day that I've ever surfed, and the waves were... It was, probably like 14 feet. And I was on a board that was way too small. First wave I got, I was like, okay, this is fucked up. Like, I felt like I was surfing an esky lid.
Right.
And then I was like, oh, fuck. Like, I don't know what to do. I didn't know whether I should go in, because if I went in, I didn't think I'd be able to get back out. Like, it was so gnarly. And we knew the swell was coming like in the afternoon. It was like really predictable. So we actually went out early, and we sort of just sat out the back, because I was like, we just won't be able to paddle through this shit. Got out there, got my first wave, was like, fuck, I need a bigger board. Too scared to go in and get another one, because I didn't think I'd come out. So anyway, I ended up staying out there for ages, and got a couple more waves, and then one really big set came through. I just got over it, and like my other friend that I was surfing with, he didn't. Fucking got exploded on, snapped his leash, washed back into shore. So then I was out there, and like it fucked up like almost everybody in the lineup. Like, all these boards were broken. Like, It was gnarly. So then anyway, I was like, all right, I'm going to get a wave in. And then I was just too scared to get a wave in. Like, they were so fucking big.
Really?
That I was just like, and I was sitting out the back by myself, just tripping. I was like, dude, fuck, what have I got myself into? I'm going to fucking get smashed. Anyway, it gets like dark quick. The clouds come over, and like it's like freezing cold. It's like winter over there. The clouds roll in, the sun starts setting quick, and I was like, damn, I need to get a wave in before I like can't see anymore.
Yeah.
So then anyway, I was trying, and I just kept hesitating on these waves, and then I finally like got enough fucking courage just to go on one. But it was so dark I couldn't see like the lip of the wave breaking properly. So I ended up basically just getting fucking creamed in the back by the lip of this wave. Sent me straight to the bottom, and I hit the reef so hard that it knocked the wind out of me.
Right.
So then I'm underwater, winded. I had no idea which way was up. There was no sun to like see the direction of the like what was up. So I'm just like swimming, and I start like swimming hard, and then I fucking grab the reef. So I was like, fuck, I've swum in the wrong direction.
Jesus
Then
Christ.
I pushed up off the reef, got hit by another wave, and then I got sent back flipping. So that's 2 waves, no breath, being winded. And I was like, this is fucking not good. And anyway, so I was sort of swimming again, got to the surface, took like a half a breath, and then got hit by another wave in the fucking face. So just like all this water went up my nose, down my throat. So then I'm underwater like coughing, and I was like, dude, you're cooked. Like, this is bad. And then I was just underwater again, no idea of direction. And then like when you drown, you actually like you start involuntarily sucking water in. So you don't pass out because you haven't got enough oxygen. You actually start taking on water,
Right.
as well, because you can't stop yourself breathing. Like your diaphragm just starts opening.
Right. I didn't know that.
Anyway, I didn't either until this. So then you start having these like convulsions where you're like you're trying to breathe, but you're forcing yourself not to.
Yeah.
You can literally do it yourself. Like if you just hold your breath for long enough, you'll start to breathe essentially.
Right.
So anyway, I got like a first little bit of them, and then I stopped the water coming in, and then my whole body I just gave up.
Really?
I was like, cool, I'm dead.
Really?
And then it was just the quietest, most peaceful thing. And like they always say, like, and my mum would always say when I was a kid, like, oh well, they reckon drowning is the most peaceful way to go. And I was like, fuck that. That is chaos. Like I could not imagine drowning. Like that would be the worst way to die. But then like when that happened, I just like my body just gave up. I just went limp, and then I just fucking chilled, and I was just laying there. And I just remember like thinking about it felt like I thought about so much stuff, but in it would have been seconds, like maybe 2-3 seconds. And then I ended up just getting washed onto the beach. Like I was just limp, and then all of a sudden like my hip and shoulder hit sand, and then I pushed up, and I was in like 3 feet of water. So that's how cooked I was.
Fuck.
That I just floated lifeless into like 3 feet of water, and then I hit the sand, and then I was like, holy fuck, I can live. And then I literally stood up, and I was like waist deep in water, and I just took like the biggest breath. And then by the time I walked to the shore, and I just sat on all fours, man, I just like had my forehead on the sand.
Jeez.
I can't remember if I was like crying, but I might have even been crying. And then I had to I got washed so far down the beach. I had to probably walk like 2 k's back to the car.
Really?
And my mate was up there. Yeah, my mate was up there. He was like, dude, I thought you were fucking dead. He's like, I didn't know what to do. He was just sitting there, just being like, I was probably out there an hour longer than him.
Really?
And he was just like, I thought you were dead. He's like, I couldn't see you. I've been looking everywhere. Like, he's like, I didn't know what to do.
Fuck, it's heavy, man. It's heavy.
Oh, it's so nuts. But like, it was weird. Like, I didn't like contemplate life or anything after that. I just didn't want to surf for a while. That's all I did.
Yeah, I'm pretty much over canoeing right now too. I really can't think of anything worse than canoeing. But
yeah, like, I'm probably a bit more gun shy than I've ever been surfing. That's for sure. I've never surfed waves that big again. But I don't know. Like I don't remember thinking about like life or death or anything like that. I was just like, yeah, fuck it. This is what it is.
dude, I suck at surfing. I lived in Cronulla in Sydney for a year.
Really?
Yeah, right
That's
by the
shit
beach.
waves though.
Huh?
That's pretty shit waves there though. Like.
Oh well, they look big to me. When you're from England, man, and you never see waves, they look huge. So,
Yeah, but big doesn't mean good though.
True.
Like because that's like if you know like because I'm on Burley, it's a right hand point break, and you can go there. It's 2 foot, and it's just these easy to catch, nice long
Right.
rights. So I think it's just where you're at.
Yeah.
Cronulla is just a beach break, so it can just be like messy and closed out and shit. And then if you go try and learn to surf in that, it's just like not a great time.
No, it's not great. I tried a few times. Well, quite a lot actually. I'll be honest with you. I tried a lot and still can't surf. Hopefully I'm going to go surfing this week. Actually, I need to go into some water again and get over this fear. So I'm going to take my surfboard up north and go for a surf this week.
That's classic.
We'll see. But yeah, man, it's been a trip. It's been a crazy few weeks. Really, really crazy. Have you ever like been somewhere and someone's recognized you from the podcast? Like really somewhere really random?
Dude, I was just playing golf the other day and some dude walked up to me. He's like, "Hey man, love the podcast."
Really? See that?
Yeah.
So we had like a race here on Saturday in Sheffield, and it's quite like everyone in Sheffield is quite. I wouldn't say it's cliquey, but everyone knows everyone in the mountain bike community. It's a mountain bike race.
Yeah.
People come from all over to go to this race. It's pretty damn cool, and I guess I put that episode out talking about what happened to me and my few friends. And I was just like, I just got overwhelmed with people coming over and saying hello and asking if I was okay and stuff. And that's
sick.
It's really cool, but I was a little bit, it was maybe a little bit too soon looking back. Do you know what I mean? I know it had been like a week and a half, something like that, but all these like, not strangers, like the listeners to this podcast and stuff. And it was really, really nice. But it was just a bit like, telling the same story a lot. And, do you know what I mean? It just got a bit much where you sort of like don't quite remember, maybe take for granted a little bit how many people listen to this thing and how many people know who you are. Because I don't know. So that was a bit of a trip. I
get awkward with people, to be honest. Like I got so I had like a crazy day where I got on 2 flights, and both times in both airports, people come up to me and took photos, and like fuck, it was so like I'm not awkward at all. Like if we go out or whatever, like I'm not an awkward person, but for some reason, like with the podcast, I'm like fuck, who do they want me to be?
That's exactly the same, man. Yeah, for sure.
Like what do they actually? Because as much as like I'm trying to be myself on the podcast, like I feel like the podcast is like the best version of me, if that makes sense. Like I'm on point, I'm in the zone, I'm present, I'm really there and like doing the damn thing.
Yeah.
But when I'm at an airport, I'm like off with the ferries. I just drove the first flight. I just drove 3 hours on a dirt road to get to the fucking airport. So it's like it's just you're in a different headspace, and then I'm like, fuck, man, like. Are they going to be let down by me in real life or whatever? So it's like, I don't know. I still haven't figured out how to like manage that yet.
Yeah.
And especially, I feel like at like X Games was the first place that I went to where like a lot of people come up to me.
Right.
But that felt fine because I was like, oh, you're moto people. Like,
you're my people,
sort of thing.
Yeah.
But then when it's like airports, shopping centers, like even in Burley, like just getting coffee, people will like come up and say hello. And I went to a jiu-jitsu school last night to do like a seminar, and all of those people there listen to the podcast, and it feels, I don't know, that stuff feels weird because I'm just like, fuck, like what version of me do they like? What do they expect? What do they think of me? And like, is meeting me in person going to be like a fucking letdown to the person that they watch on? But I mean, I'm probably just overthinking about it. They probably just really don't give a fuck. It's just like cool for 1 second, and then they.
I always just struggle when people say, "Oh, I listen to your podcast." I'm like, "Oh, cool. Thank you." I don't know. Thank you.
You feel like
amazing.
a dick. Yeah, you feel like if you're like, "Oh yeah, cool, man." Like I don't know. It just feels even weird to like acknowledge that. Oh yeah, I know, man. People listen to it.
Exactly.
Like, don't
You're
you
right.
reckon?
Yeah.
It's like hard to navigate.
It is tough, but we get it's all good fun, isn't it?
Yeah, but the guy there's a dude at the golf course the other day. I was like, it's fucking cool, but he he come up to me. He was like a super nice dude.
That's it. You're still doing the golf podcast as well?
Nah,
Was that done?
not at all.
Okay, so
Nah,
Gypsy Tales, and you got a football one as well, or no?
Oh, just the one with Corey Parker. So it's called
Yeah.
Gypsy and the Fox.
Okay.
And it's just like that. I'm trying to, once this new studio's built, I'll be able to like do that a bit more regularly with him.
Okay.
But we just talk sport in general. Like he's an ex-football player. He was like on the Australian team and stuff. Like he's one of the big name dudes. But he's like a huge rev head. So like he loves V8 supercars, drag racing, MotoGP, Formula One, like all that shit. So yeah, we just do that show with him sort of when we can. But I want to do it way more because he's such a fucking cool dude.
Really?
Yeah, it's like fun. It's fun to just sit there and talk shit with him.
Yeah.
It's like a different dynamic too, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Like I've got like the other series as well. It's on the same channel, the EWS or Bust, which we've got like a sponsored rider who I say sponsored, we help him. We just document his travels around the world, racing mountain bikes as a privateer, and that does really good. It's just people want to know what it's like to be a privateer and travel around the world on a shoestring budget, trying to make it. You know what I mean? Not even he's trying to make it; he's just doing it because he loves it.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty cool.
That's
pretty cool.
That's what I was sort of saying at the start is I think the new thing, people always ask me like, oh, what do you think the next big thing is? I think that it's sort of already happening. And it's not I think vlogging is what started it, but I really think that it's just personal brands. Like you're not gonna be invested in. So like I used to subscribe to, let's say like Nike Golf.
Okay.
That's like, okay, I'm not gonna subscribe to Nike Golf anymore. I'm gonna subscribe to whoever is that athlete or that vlogger or that personality. And like, because even with Gypsy Tales, like I'm trying to make more of like just a brand in general where it's like you can just follow along and you can get like cool videos, you can listen to the podcast, there's like merch that you can get involved with, there's events that you can do. It just becomes like a brand that people follow. So it's like I think what we're gonna see is like people just making their own channels, and then people are just gonna start following these people's channels. It's not gonna be like distributed anymore by like a network, or it's not going to be like one sort of thing. I think you'll just you'll find people you like and people you gravitate towards, and then you'll just follow whatever they do.
Yeah. Like you said, it is kind of happening, especially with some podcasts. Like I love Theo Von's podcast. Like that's...
Dude, he's the man, eh?
Oh man, insane. But again, it's just him talking. There's no one telling him what to say. There's nothing. And I agree with you. That seems to be the way it's going. What I'd just like to see a little bit more, especially in the mountain bike world, is athletes starting their own podcasts. And I'm kind of pushing it with a few guests I've had on that are doing it. I've helped them set it up. But, that's what, Moto, there's a few. Zach Osborne, for example, off-season started a podcast. There's like a few already like that.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he started a podcast. It's pretty cool, actually. I only listened to a couple, but then the season started again. Not the season, he was injured, wasn't he? Then when he started racing again, he stopped doing it. And MMA, prime example, a load of MMA fighters have got their own show, they've got their own everything. And I just like, especially with what we do, maybe in BMX and action sports, rather, would like to see a few more athletes just doing their own stuff. And they've got access to people as well. That's the beauty of it. Like, if you're an athlete and you're on the circuit, you're at races, like, why not just sit down with somebody for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and just chat shit? I
totally agree.
I think that's what the future would be for me at the minute. But yeah, I don't know. We're just navigating this world, aren't we, mate? Seeing what happens. Not taking anything too serious.
Nah, that's it. Yeah, I like that whole new sort of that wave. Like, to me, it's fucking cool. Like, there's dudes in jiu-jitsu that I follow. There's guys in golf that I still follow. There's like the MMA guys that I still follow. And it's like I don't have normal TV even.
Nah.
Like, if I watch something, it's either like jiu-jitsu shit or it's just these guys where I just follow, like Adam 22. Like, he just talks rap.
Okay.
Like rap and hip hop. Like,
right.
the dude's he's got a porn star girlfriend. He like fucking, dude, he's just like a sick dude, and I just follow all his shit. I don't listen to all his podcasts and stuff.
Right. I've never heard of him. I've just written it down now. I'm going to check that out, see what it is.
Oh, you'll be addicted to his shit, man. He's just cool as fuck.
Okay. All right. I'll take a look. But yeah, I agree. That seems to be the way it's going.
So, and it's cool to, like, I don't know, contribute to that in like a small way.
Yeah. Yeah, especially with what you're doing, I'd say quite a big way, because you've gone down the whole, you're not just action sports. You're doing some really rad stuff. Like today's episode, with
Yeah,
someone who's an ex-bikey. I mean, that's cool, dude.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Some of the best stuff you've done for me has been stuff like that. Abo Henry, that guy, sick.
Yeah, dude, this guy was in jail with Abo Henry. How fucking crazy is that?
There you go.
First time he ever went to jail, Abo was his cellmate.
Really?
Yeah. But yeah, it's just. What's that?
Were you tripping a little bit doing that? Were you thinking, I don't know, there's something about that whole criminal underworld thing where I'd be a bit like, fucking hell, does anyone else come with you? Like, what's going on here?
Dude, you know what, man? Like, we grew up in a pretty fucking sketchy place.
Right.
And, like, all my uncles were cops. And, like, we were around fucked up shit a lot when I was a kid. Like, I actually think it's fucking fun.
Right,
like,
okay.
man, we got crazy stories of, like, being a kid, like, because we sort of would go up to Aboriginal communities where, like, my uncles would be stationed. And, man, we saw the fucking craziest shit. So I think from a young age, I was just like, I don't know, it just didn't seem like a trip.
Fair.
But there was a point with Abo though where I did get like a bit of the gravity of like the situation of when he was talking about so much stuff that was like just still unresolved. I was just like,
yeah,
it's fucking kind of heavy. But it was he's a fucking heavy dude. And like even after it, because I'm real bad with like text messages and responses and shit. And after he's like, is it up on YouTube yet? This and that. And I just was like fucking not replying to him. And he's like, fucking reply, you little cunt. And I was just like, all right, whatever. I was like, fuck, this dude is a gangster. He's probably killed people. So I probably should reply to him. But I've actually got to be like good friends with him now. He's a fucking good guy.
That's cool.
As weird as that is.
Yeah. That's amazing. All right, we'll do some listener questions, get you out of here. You can go for a surf.
Yeah.
And I can get a couple of hours sleep.
Get some sleep, bro.
First one, at AJ Jones. Do you ever think Kenny will come back to win a championship? And what's your thoughts on Tomac dominating one weekend, then off the pace the next?
Righto. So Kenny will win a championship again, for sure. I think that, like we said before, I reckon if anyone can turn into the guy, I think it can be Kenny. And then with Eli, I think that the reason that you see him dominate one weekend and struggle the next is it's just purely comes down to what the track's like. I think that his style stays the same. He rides the same every week. I don't think he rides better or worse on one weekend or the other. I just think the track dictate with the way that he rides and his riding style and his setup, I think the track dictates how fast he can go. And I think on the weekends that you don't see him do well, it's because the track grabs him, he makes mistakes and crashes, and that's sort of it. Or even if he doesn't crash, overriding certain tracks, like either there's not enough traction, there's too much traction, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just the way that he rides. I don't think he changes his approach each weekend, given different surfaces, different track layouts, different, the way that these things, every single week is different. And I don't think he adjusts. I think he goes in with the exact same mentality. He rides the same speed, and some weekends it works, some weekends it doesn't. And I think that for him to change and win a title, I think he has to approach every weekend differently. I think he has to approach every track as its own new thing, and I think he needs to slow down to go fast.
That's fair. Good answer, mate. Analytical to the point.
Thought about that dude a lot.
Yeah, watch out for Tomac's new riding coach next year. Jase Macalpine with the pit board. Unite Components, who's been your favourite guest on Gypsy Tales?
Man, that's like super hard, eh? I reckon there's like a few sort of like standout ones. I think Chad is definitely one of them because we had such like a weird relationship.
Okay.
Where all of our friends, so like me and Chad have best friends in common, but we weren't friends. and they both knew that. And I mean, I don't know how much Chad didn't like me or what. Like, I definitely got that vibe for a long time off him, and then I was a bit of a dick to him at times. I'm sort of just because I was like, he doesn't like me, I don't like him.
Yeah.
And our friends would always try and bring us together. And then the podcast was like the reason that we finally come together and like sort of figured it out and had a yarn. And then now we're like both really good friends out of it. Cool. So I think that is like a really cool one that stands out. The Adam Greentree one is super cool because I feel like all the content on all of them is really cool. So it's like, it's really hard to pick like which is the best podcast just based on content. But I think it's more like the situations, how they come up, and then what happens after the podcast that make them memorable, if that makes sense.
Dude, totally.
'Cause I feel like all the conversations are great, all the content I love, and I could pick something amazing from each podcast. But yeah, I think the ones that are special are like the ones where the situation, who they are, the timing, what they did for the podcast, and then the friendships that I got after them. I think they're what make them like kind of stand out. I think that, the Adam Greentree one was cool because he's a guy that I've met, or like not met, I learned about through like Rogan's podcast, and then for him to come on my podcast felt like it was quite cool that there was like a guest that had been on the biggest podcast in the world, and then he was on Gypsy Tales, and then he turned out to be the fucking coolest guy that I've ever met. And like the next, like he's a fucking legend. And then the next day after the podcast, he texted me and said, "Oh, do you want to get breakfast with me and Kim," which is his wife? And I was like, "Yeah, I'm around." And so we went and had breakfast, and so it's like, that was super cool. And who else is cool? I mean, there's so many that are good. I think the Jack Freestone one was awesome too, because that was just like a different vibe. Like, we'd never met, and he had seen the podcast, and it felt like it was something that he really wanted to do.
Yeah. That's always helpful too, when someone has good intentions coming on it. They understand it. Do you know what I mean? They understand. And I found that even as this thing's grown, people now are more switched on to podcasts. They've listened to them. The early ones, you'd be like, "Oh, I got doing this podcast," and it'd be like,
I remember that even.
What is it?
Yeah, I remember even 12 months ago, like when we first spoke, you were like having to tell people like it's all right, like it's real laid back, like you'd sort of have to explain it. I think nowadays, like it's coming far enough to where you don't have to explain it. But I think with Jack, what was cool is he really was like interested to hear about me as much as I was interested to hear about him, and it felt like a very mutual thing, and it really did feel like he was genuinely as interested in me as I was interested in him. And then it just became like this full fucking bro down chat about life and this and that, and we were talking about his kids, and there was like, I don't know, that the vibe in the room with Jack was like the fucking coolest thing, and then to be friends with him after and talk as much as we do, it was just, that was cool because it just was so like genuine. And I think like that the thing too, like with this new studio, like I'd sort of been thinking about, but I didn't really say it before, was that like you look at like the like Downtown Abbey or whatever, like the famous recording studios, you always hear people say like you step into the room and you just feel the presence of these great artists that have been there before, right? Yeah. And that is like what I want to create with this new studio. So all of those experiences, like when I step into this room, this is where I did the Jack podcast, and I get that vibe that I got from him. Like this box has like that special vibe about it that is like the room is full of his energy now. So this new studio will be like you know, you'll get like Kelly Slater in there. You'll get all these like crazy fucking people that have just achieved and done so much. And like, if you're on a podcast talking about your life, like you've done something special, you've got, whether you're famous or not famous, like the guy from yesterday, he fucking turned his life around. Like Brent Simpson is an inspirational guy.
Yeah.
And it's like his presence fills this room now. So it's like that's like the thing that I really want to create with the new studio. And it's like, I think that is what makes podcasts special to me more so than like, oh, this one got this many downloads, this one got, you know, this many people started following it because of this. So it's really about, you know, the vibe that they sort of like, how they fill the room. And it definitely gives you a feeling that stays with you for a lot longer than the episode, and then way past the, you know, the download counter that it sort of gets afterwards. So it was like a long-winded answer, but
No, I really like that spin you've put on it though, man. It's something that I'd not really even thought about before. How these people become friends, and you know, a lot of mine have been done via Skype, but still you get that. I don't know. I've tried to do it here. Just, you know, I record, you know, at home in the spare room, but I like it to be like my little space. It's just like full of like rad stuff. Do you know what I mean? And you just get that vibe where you're like, no, I'm in here. It's creative. I just want to like chat to people and keep it just not. Yeah, I'd never thought about it like that. I like what you've said. That's been inspirational, man, to me, because obviously we're on a similar sort of journey. You're doing that, I'm doing this, but I'd never thought about it like that as far regards to like the energy that comes from it and the takeaway after it. I've never even considered it. That's really cool.
And with the, you know, that new studio, like I'm putting a lot of effort into it and like literally all my money, because I know that that's going to be a place where we'll stay for years and years. Like I don't want to move. I don't want to move from the Gold Coast. I want to live in Burleigh. It's logistically really great for the podcast, but I want that room where all of those people go, and they just that room will be filled with that kind of energy and that kind of positivity, and I want that to be something that inspires listeners, and I want it to. I think it inspires other guests too. Like even yesterday when Simo come in here, he's like, "Oh man, this is the room where Jack was here and Ryan Gambin was here." You know, so like, as much as it is even like that for me, it's like you get those guests, and I just it's the one thing that I've always wanted right from the start was like, I just want this whole Gypsy Tales thing to be like way bigger than me. I don't want this to be like all about me and this is my thing. I want this to be like a thing for everybody, and it's like a thing for the guests. A guest is now a part of it. You're a part of it. The listeners are a part of it. It becomes like this big collective energy that is like a positive energy. And that is whether you're sitting in the room or whether you're listening on iTunes or whether you're watching the videos on YouTube. It's like, and regardless of if people will leave negative comments or whatever, that does not stain the positive energy that we're trying to create out of this whole thing.
Dude, so good. I'm stoked for you. Honestly, it's inspirational as fuck. I came into this, as I said to you on a text message, my head was a little bit fuzzy, but you've helped clear my head out a little bit, so hopefully people listening are going to be equally as stoked as I am for what you're doing and like and what you're creating, man, and the good vibes you're putting out there into the world. I think it's fucking awesome. And I'm happy to be a really, really small part of it by helping you with a few things, and you've helped me with a few things. I think it's fucking sick. The only thing that I don't like is that we've had to do this via Skype. The connection's been pretty... I don't know if it's been all right your side, but my side keeps going off and all sorts of shit, so apologies that we can't just sit and just riff and it just be like clean. But...
Well, I'm talking to my uncle at the moment. He's going to Norway in June, and he said he's going to stop in the UK for a week. So he hit me up to see if I wanted to go and do some podcasts. So
bro, come over.
Yeah, I might do it. Like the only thing is like the whole studio thing, but like he's you know obviously you know Glenn, like I did the podcast with him. He's coming to do some track in like Austria or Norway. Okay. But yeah, so he's like, yeah, we'll catch up with Steve Pete and we'll do all these. So probably I was going to, if I do that, I was going to try and call in. So maybe we could set something up.
Dude, Steve lives like 20 minutes from me.
Yeah, that's sick.
So-
Yeah, so I'm like, fuck, it could be cool to come over, and I haven't done a trip for a while. I'm kind of like, I'm turning into a bit of a salty burly local.
You have to change the
Got
name of
fucking-
the podcast, aren't you? What would it have to be? Fucking sitting at home tales. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm not fucking leaving. But yeah, so I don't know. Maybe we'll get to do one of these in person.
That'd be sick. All right, man. I'm gonna get some sleep. It's been a long old day, and yeah, thanks again for doing this. I really appreciate you coming on. It's always a pleasure. You should do it more. We should just, once we can get the
Yeah,
tech
man.
side of it sorted out, because Skype's all right, but it could be better, couldn't it? Let's be honest.
Well, this studio is like shit for Wi-Fi. Like I'm running off an extender and everything.
Right.
So like in the new one, it'll be like way
Crystal
better, way
clear.
easier.
Yeah, it's been pretty shit on my side as well. I think it keeps like going fuzzy. So sorry for people listening if the audio is a little bit off, but yeah, you can send me your stream anyway. Still, can't you? Your audios, and I've got one.
Yeah,
so
I'll
try
send
and
you. The last hour and a half is sweet. So
sweet. All right, man.
sweet as doggy. I will talk to you soon. Get some sleep. And,
Yeah, man.
Yeah, thanks to everyone that listened to me waffle fucking shit for the last hour and a half.
It's been a pleasure, man. As usual, I'll speak to you soon.
Awesome, bro. Talk to you.
Keep it real. Bye.
See you, mate.
All right, wait there. I'm just ending this. Oh, where's it gone? Fuck. All right. Thank you, man. Yep. Cool. That'd be amazing. Thank you. I'm sorry, man. The Wi-Fi's been like, I don't know, it's just been a little bit shit. I don't know what's going on, but yeah. But I'll try and get it the best I can, obviously. And I'm sorry if I've been a bit, I don't know. I'm still spaced out, man. It's weird. I need to get over myself. Yeah. Yeah. For sure. But yeah, man, for sure. Try and get over here. It'd be cool. That'd be a pleasure. I can help out with whatever places to stay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh man, that'd be cool. That'd be sick. Yeah, it would. It would. His podcast is really good. I love it. Under the Skin's rad. I'm in the van all the time though, man. Tomorrow I'll be driving for like 9 hours. It's like I can burn through stuff. So that's a good thing. Yeah. Oh, I'm jealous as fuck. I think I need that in my life. Yeah, if you come here, just don't come for too long because you'll fucking hate it. Yeah, we can go for a bike ride and stuff. We'll do some cool stuff if you come over. Yeah, man. I'll sort a bike out for you and all that stuff. It's no problem. Alright. Right. Chat soon. Send us that stuff over, man, when you can, and I'll try. I'm gonna get it out anyway next day or two. So, all right. Peace, man. Have a good day. Appreciate your time. Later.